Ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing this evening? Welcome to the Double Pivot Podcast. With me and Kieran, where we talk about all the key matchups for all the teams and all the players, amongst other stuff, and a little sprinkling of FPL dusted in there. I'm FPL veteran, those who don't know me, and joining me as ever is Kieran FPL Discomfort. Kieran, how the devil are you? We've not spoke up. We've not caught up. How are you doing?
We haven't normally, mate. I think we've sent about 30 voice notes a day by this point. You've gone on about a rant about how Haaland's overpriced and he needs to score a hat trick. I think that you're a bit quieter because Haaland scored a hat trick. I was
Yeah,
a bit
you're right. You're
quieter
right. Yeah.
because I captained Haaland and he scored a hat trick. But look, I put out my first solo video going, I'm not that convinced about him being a triple captain, and mentioned really, I can see him getting a goal maybe from like a penalty from those tricky wingers, and maybe a shot from distance. So that was kind of annoying to kind of call 2/3 of it. But look, obviously happy with that. I'm not sure. Are you still doing the whole not looking at your rank situation?
I am, yeah, I am. So the first week I caught it, not that it really made a difference, but I think it was like 3.6 million. But there was like one point will get you, I don't know, like a million. But I've not looked this week. And do you know what? This is probably the first season in ages that I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with my decisions. I'm comfortable with my tactics going forward. I've not even had the urge. You know how you get the urge to be like, oh, I really want to see. But genuinely, not even looking. Not looking for the whole time.
To be honest, yeah, I think at this stage, I don't think anyone cares too much about their rank unless they are
No.
someone who is in like a pretty. If you've got off to a good start, then that is pretty impressive and it is good. And ranks are important there because if you can get off to that good start, obviously that's a bonus. Points are worth more than anything. But at the same point, if you haven't, like you said, it's so close. You might see yourself sort of certain amount of points away from the top if you're doing those kind of searches. It's nothing at this point, really. 38 weeks left,
Exactly.
so
If
yeah.
it,
Look,
yeah, if people are in the chat like saying, Kieran, they're like, "Oh no, I'm like 4 million of that." There's like 10 points of getting probably the top million or something. It's don't worry about it too much. Just take it easy.
exactly that, mate. And it's one of those. Like, I'll avoid talking about my rank and how I feel I'm doing overall because I think that's barometer. Because I think the one thing you and I probably care about more than anything else is who comes out on top. And I know you got off to that fast start. I'll be honest. When I was looking at it after Saturday, I was watching the Arsenal game with a mate, and I arrived before Haaland's third goal, and was sort of talking to him about he doesn't play FPL. He likes football. He likes Arsenal.
Okay.
Um, but I just was chatting non-stop about football tactics and everything, going, "Oh, I hope Haaland doesn't get another goal," and all of this. He's like, "Is football now your life?" I'm like, "Oh dear." Um,
FPL is a life, but that's what we're trying to do. We try
combination of
and
both.
yeah, exactly. I mean, on Thursday we like to, we bring you this in-depth pod, brighten your day up, like Claire's saying in the chat. She's got a bit of a stinking
Well,
cold,
one
but
thing, like Claire jumping
we're
on, and we'll
here.
do shout outs to others, but it's also Claire's birthday today. So it's a happy birthday. And thanks
Happy
for
birthday, Claire.
joining us on your birthday. And
I know
obviously,
she's spending it with us. Thank you very
yeah,
much.
sorry to hear about obviously the cold, and do hope it passes. And look, birthdays are just a day. So you can celebrate it over the weekend. Doesn't make a difference when you're fully up and ready to go at it.
That's it. And at least, Kieran, and in fact, I've not even showed you this. Even we came on here 10 minutes early and we're chatting. At least you've not almost cut your thumb off, which is never a good look to have. I saw in your thumb doesn't usually work well, and I found that out the other day. So yeah, add that to the working week. It wasn't the best, but I'm glad we're all well. And yeah, let's go on. I think everyone's wanting to know how we're getting on.
Couple of shout outs actually. So that's you. I don't know why I've selected to show your replies on screen there. It was meant to be Geddy. So Geddy, look, good to have you with us. Obviously, Claire, we've already done that. Who also Geddy wishes you well too. We've got FPL Matt again. Thanks for
Big
jumping on
Matt,
with us.
legend,
And
legend.
yeah,
Thank
look,
you.
completely agree. Rank is literally nothing right now. And I'll be honest, I actually don't know what my rank is. I looked at it when I was slightly ahead of you on Saturday, and I went, he's going to need Son to do something in his game. And then Son did
And
something.
then saw him work, and then he did.
So look, do you want to kick off with, I don't know, shall we show our scores first of all, and then jump into sort of the
Yeah,
games and what we saw of them?
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely, definitely. I mean, that's what we do in the pod. We do FPL, but we like to talk the more theory, the team matchups and the player matchups, which is ultimately important, Kieran, isn't it?
it is. It's just you said yeah. And I probably shouldn't have asked the question because that was the one thing I didn't have ready. But look, it's one of those. This is part of the fun of it. In fact, one of my most enjoyable moments. I was listening to I was watching back the Elite FPL um, podcast, and it was brilliant because yeah, they had Nick from FPL Juice on there, and he just
I
couldn't get.
did see some of it actually.
Did you see the start of it? The first 15 minutes is the best
I
15 minutes
didn't.
to watch. It's 15 minutes of trying to figure out why they can't hear Nick. Um, and yeah, it was just genius, and that was some of the more enjoyable parts. Was sort of just hearing them talk, trying to figure it all out. So yes, that is exactly what I'm doing, is buying time whilst we do that. But look, let's try and do it this way. I think it should actually work. So look, you will be the one that tells me, Shane, how does this look in terms of screen size?
It looks like a short, is what it looks like. I like it though. I like it. I like the vibe you're going for. Com, how you doing? Thanks for joining us, big man. Yeah, well, that's fine, mate. That's
This
fine. I
is
like
you,
that.
right?
Everyone,
This
everyone
is
can
you.
see it.
So talk us through this.
This is me. Well,
Yeah.
we'll start from the overall score. So again, it doesn't really matter. Just again above average, if you will. Podcast, Adam. It was an okay week. It wasn't a bad week. It was a good week, but you always want more in FBL. No matter how good. If you had 20 per player, I'd still want more. But yeah, starting from the back, Popey done all right. I kind of expected, a clean sheet from Bournemouth. Newcastle aren't playing the best. But then the back line seems to be. I think at the start of the season we thought, do you know what? We're going to go light at the back. And actually, at the back's been a lot better. It has been very solid as well. So Pedro Porro, been a legend so far. Alexander Arnold, by the way, he looks. If you don't have him, I think people who don't have him are worried about getting him because he's looking fantastic in pretty
Mhm.
much every single aspect going forward. Robinson, again, he was. Listen, we'll come on to how I watched the game, but got the assist. He was unlucky to not get another assist and the clean sheet as well. So he just missed a bit of a monster score. Midfield though is kind of keeping me afloat. Salah, after that Haaland haul, I needed a goal, and luckily he did spring up with a goal, so he got 20 points, which, by the way, keeps him on exactly the same points. So all that argument that we've been doing so far, Haaland's better, Salah's better, they're on exactly the same points, which you couldn't write. Jota and Salah double up. Listen, it's going fantastic so far. Hopefully he keeps playing. Smith Rowe, you'll be happy with that one, Kieran. Big Smith Rowe popped up. Great goal as well. A bit of a through ball, but then he had to carry it and finish it, and he did
His only shot, right,
sublimely.
which we'll obviously come on to. But
It was,
literally one
yeah.
shot, one goal.
He's clinical. He's clinical. And Kunku, listen, we'll chat about him in a minute. But and then Son, I captained him last week, so of course he blanked, and I didn't captain him this week. I had the captain on all week, and I changed it, and of course he got a 16 pointer. He got a brace, a bit of a gift from Pickford, right enough, but all the same, he got a brace. Isaac up top was a little bit disappointing. Newcastle won in general, and then Muniz, again, his XG's through the roof. He's in comfortable position, good position. He's just not finishing. So he's halfway there. He's halfway there. But overall, not a bad week. Not a bad week.
No, exactly. And it will obviously come on to what we're doing with our respective teams after. Um, but
So stay tuned. It's a bit about you got to stay through us throughout the pod, and he sees at
Well,
the
get
end.
get some of this out at the start, and then move on to yeah, obviously the more football chat, which is a part of that. I think you and I just enjoy talking football, and then moving on to FPL. So look,
Great.
let's cover this off. I've realised I've cut my score off of here, and no, it's not because you might have got more than me. Um, how many points did you get again?
79.
79. Oh, I got 72. Look,
Oh.
Raya and Gabriel, double Arsenal clean sheet again. Raya, that 6 or 2 point goalie, 6 or 2 point goalie.
Mm.
Be careful of him when he gets 6 or 2 points. He has 18 points in 2 games. So, yeah, very happy with him. Definitely worth his price already. We've got Guardiola, who, yeah, fine. Interesting one here, Leif Davis, because Barco's gone, Quanta doesn't play. So, wanted to hold on to my transfer because I like Leif Davis moving forward. He came on, got me nothing. So, yep, fine. Midfield wise, two of them got assists in Yosasaka, two did nothing in Brereton and Minter. Same with the strikers. Isaac Muniz did nothing, and Haaland's there. Look, bench Gordon. went with the rhetoric of away from home, wasn't going to bench Burrison, Diaz or Minter. Yeah, I don't think I was going to bench anyone instead of him. I think a lot of people argue that I probably could have, but
Mhm.
I wouldn't have. So I'm not too upset with it. All in all, like yeah, I've left 8 points on the bench there, and that would have beaten you actually that week. So maybe that would be the only reason that I'd be a little bit disappointed.
Well, that's it. Yeah, no, not everyone can beat us, you know. And on that, by the way, like I said, I've reminded Kieran this week that my 8-year-old son, for the second week in a row, has beat us both again. So that felt good. You know, that felt good. Our decisions are going well. But yeah, it just shows that he'll probably beat us at the end of the season, Kieran. We're probably like, oh, it's only 2 weeks in, and oh, it's only 32 weeks in. Do you know what I mean? He'll be 100 points ahead. But
Do you know a couple
no,
of things I've just realised, by the way, Shane? Sorry, I didn't want to jump in. We've
go on.
got Coleman here as well through YouTube. I didn't realise we've got Zodiac, who has jumped on
Oh,
through X. Sees one
goodness
of
me,
his
Zodiac,
so
how
rare
are you
sisters.
doing?
We're both your so rare sisters, so I don't know which one of us he neglected there. But um, on
The ugly
behalf of the one you
stepsister.
did recognise, thank you for recognising me, and Shane, commiserations. If it's the
Yeah.
other way round, then Zodiac, you're watching us, so look, we appreciate you anyway.
Always the bridesmaid. I'm always the bridesmaid, Kieran. Do
Well,
you know
no,
what I
I
mean?
think
Never
I'm
the
probably
bride.
the bridesmaid. I think you're the one who probably goes round and confuses everyone, right? Have I think I've seen you on Twitter, like responding to your own post, mate. So I'm like on our account. Just to be clear on
Speaking to
this,
herself.
I have said to him, like, it'd be really useful, Shane, if maybe we put our names at the end of it. Yep, cool, definitely we'll do that. And then I see him just carrying on having a chat with himself. Um, but but we've also got Matt. Again, he's on X. And Cuckoo to Rogers. He'd think that you've done it. We'll come on to that. Colm saying hi to Getty, Claire, Shane, and me. Claire saying hey back. Go away. No, that it doesn't sing. Leave me alone.
Ah,
But
Zodiac.
Zodiac.
Oh,
9. 5-7. Okay. Yeah, I feel worse for you.
onions. Big onions is here as well. How you doing, mate?
Onions
Good to
is
see you.
here. Cheers for jumping in, Onions. Palmer and Konza for Poro and Yotta? Question mark. Look, let's go through. Let's jump into the games, right? I'd say, and then
Then
yeah,
we'll talk the football. We'll talk the theory, and then that'll give us to a decision at the end. So
it is.
stay
Sorry, I
with
was
us. Stay
engaging
with
in the
us.
chat where Zodiac realised who you were at this moment. You just call yourself Shane on here, and then introduce yourself
He's
as
good at
FPL veteran, and
it.
then get confused when people don't know who you are on anything. So
Incognito.
consistency is what we get from the Scottish. It's
Consistency is
always
key.
it's always what we get. Um, but look, let's jump into it because that was a bit of a fun intro there.
Hmm.
Up first, and look, I think we'll run it the same way, Shane. I'm going to hand it over to you for you just to jump into it and tell us the eye test side of things. I'll remove myself so it's more just you and the screen, mate, and let you talk us through what you saw.
Yeah, well, listen, I watched this one of the games that I did watch. Watch the full game of this. Very, very fun, very entertaining, especially when Man United are involved and maybe they're on the end of a beating. Not that I'm biased, but no. Listen, it was. I think it was kind of what we expected, in terms of the bookies' odds. They actually had Brighton to be the favourites, and in the end they did come out win. But I think it shows how both sides have changed quite rapidly in the last kind of half season or season. And if you were new to the Prem and you didn't see the Prem before, and you said Man United were playing Brighton, you probably would have mixed them up in strips. Brighton, they press quite high. What I like about them is they play the high line, which a lot of teams they're not really doing just now because they get worried they get broken in behind. But I like that, and that facilitates them the chance to push up and double up in numbers, especially on the wing. In terms of Minter, really, really good. Again, on the right, he gave Dallo a little bit of a nightmare, to be honest. I know Dallo pushes quite high anyway, but yeah, there was times where he was caught out, he was going past them, and he played really, really well against them. A good matchup. Man United, they always seem to have a drama against tight interlinked play within the middle, and I think they found that hard within the game. Um, and they found it hard to get to grips over the period, to be honest, pretty much throughout the time. I mean, you had maybe periods of 5, maybe 10 minutes max, probably less than that, where United got the ball under the foot, played it a little bit forward, but a lot of the time it was side to side, or I don't think there was that much progressive play. When they did manage to put it together, a few breaks, Man United did look good, but they aren't doing that enough. Other little notes, because like I'm saying, I like to do some notes that going past. Offsides. I don't know if you watched the game, Kieran, but the amount of offsides, especially Rashford does, is it's outrageous. As a professional footballer, you really shouldn't be doing that, and
It's a
that's
weird one,
stopping the
right?
flow.
Because he's often looking across that line, so he shouldn't
Mhm.
be. But at the same time, like I think we'll wait and see. But I've got a feeling Brighton are going to do that against Arsenal quite a lot as well. From how we've seen Hursley setting up, I think he's willing to have his team risk it and then hope that they've got the ability to get it back if they have misjudged it. But I think he kind of has trained them to kind of go into that.
Yeah, and in terms of the goals, I was willing him on, and his record against United is fantastic. And it only took half an hour for Danny Welbeck to score. Good cross from Matoma, a bit of a mistake from Maguire. He kind of leaned outwards and he was a bit off balanced, missed the ball, and Danny Welbeck had a bit of a tap in. Then Ahmed Diallo, good run down. Listen, it was a shot on target, but it was a bit of a deflection. And then good run, good break nevertheless. It was actually a really good play from United. And then to finish off, like you were saying the other week, Kieran, that Brighton have got a squad now where they can bring on a fast, zippy winger for another fast, zippy winger. And that's exactly what happened. The Dingra's starting to get a habit of that. Great vision within the last minute of the game. Just nice little cross in and the Al Pedro to smash the winner in, which
Should he start on that? Like this is 2 games in a row he's come
it's
off and done that.
I mean, it's opposition dependent, isn't it? But when he comes on, I don't think he was on for that long. I think he was on for what, 15? You do notice an improvement. You do notice, but I think Ursula likes to bring him on for a little bit of an effect. I think. I would like to see him start and see how they do from the off. But yeah, that's twice he's come on now and managed to do that. But and yeah, listen, it was a great game, 2-1. Very happy for Danny Welbeck, which I don't think Danny Welbeck gets enough plaudits. For the amount of time he's been in the Prem, and he's half decent goal scoring. I think he's a bit
We said
underrated.
it towards the start of the season, sort of Welbeck, whoever's playing in that striker position in a Hursley
Mm.
system, is going to get a lot of chances, a lot coming their way. Um, and it's his position to lose. I'm surprised you hadn't mentioned as well. Where Dingra scored in essentially a friendly, right? But in the League Cup, he managed to get one of the goals for them, starting there. So good work from him. And in terms of minutes wise, just to say what he managed to have. So he came on in the 90th minute for Matoma. And I remember I put out a tweet at the
He
time and
come in
said,
that long, Jesus.
yep, they brought on Rutter, Ayari, and Adingra for Matoma, Minter, and Gilmore in the 90th minute. Put out a tweet at the time saying, I wish he gave these 3 more minutes so we could see what they could do. And then 5 minutes later, well, it was 4, but 5 minutes later, they then went on and got the goal. Basically, all 3 of them combining on it. And then in the other game, he came on he came in at half time, didn't he? In the first game when
He did.
Minter went off with a
Minter went
concussion.
off. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
But I'd agree with you. I think it's that impact, right? You want him as that impact player. It's working that way. So as much as you might say he deserves to start, he's going to get it in the cup games. And look, let's jump into the data here, and I'll remove both of us off it for a second so we can look at this left hand side. But Brighton, just more control of zone 14 and a half space. 15 chances amongst that zone 14. So again, that's that Yao Pedro, that Danny Welbeck area. And then look at both of
Mm.
these sides, whether it was Missima, whether it was a Dingra. And, compared to that, Man United, 12 in zone 14, 19 and a half space, a lot more preference down Rashford side. So again, we saw that, even though the goal came on a mad side. Although whether it's a goal, an own goal, whatever we want to call it, I only use the maps here for territories of control from our stat spot for and mark our stats. We'll reference both of them, of course, and we've got
Yeah.
the prints on both of these here. But again, looking at it, the way that Brighton are set up here, Gilmore's doing a really good job. Pedro's dropping back a lot out of possession and into that left hand side, and
Yeah.
Matoma's dropping back deep as well. So they were doing well to kind of counter that right hand side. On the left-hand side, you had, sort of Veltman. So obviously Man United saw that as a bit more of that opportunity for Rashford to attack, which is what we saw. And again, it's just that height of Minter and Matoma when they've got the ball, how far up they're progressing with it. So we've seen good stuff again from Brighton. They've got the toughest test coming up in the next game. One of the toughest 2 fixtures you can probably have, right? Arsenal or City away.
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, we'll get more of a. Obviously, they're on. I mean, listen, it's still good to beat Man United. They're still a good team, but yeah, the 2 big tests coming up, and we'll be able to see what they're a little bit more made of and how they manage against a team that will dominate possession against them. But someone who you had your eye on actually, Kieran pre-season, who he's probably not the best for FPL, but he had a really good game, was Billy Gilmore actually, and you could see from the Brighton possession there that he was everywhere within that centre belt. Played really, really well. And as a Scotsman, I love to see it.
And you know who played well in that position the game before?
Go on.
Whiffer. It's that position, mate. That position is so key in that Hursley system, and it takes a lot out of the players. So it won't surprise me to see him look to rotate between them, Belieber as well. They've got Ritter now, who will be getting more and more and more minutes. A couple of things before we jump on. Well, you've already clicked on that one.
I think
so
I was going to.
awesome.
Yeah, it was a good point from Colm actually.
So yeah.
Sorry. It was something that I was seeing that is playing left back. It was an area that they were getting forward a little bit. United. It's a bit of a weak spot for Brighton, and I think Com's bang on with that. I think Saka could have a bit of a field day with Hinchelwood, but if he does play, you know what I mean. What I love about Brighton is they've got so many, like we spoke about, there's so many players that can play in so many positions that the opposition at the start, they're probably confused because they don't know who's going to start. And then as players come in, they get a little bit lost. But that's a great point by Colin. What's your thoughts on that, Kieran?
Yeah, and I'm looking to my right because I've got the zonals here and the territories of control on a larger screen. I can't see Hinchelwood when they're out of possession.
No.
It is being covered by Pedro, and Pedro's great. But to Colm's point, Saka and Ben White overlap there against Pedro, Gilmore, Mitoma. Looks good. Let's move on from that quickly. But Onion said there's only 3 likes, so thank you for liking and subbing. Really appreciate that.
Legend, thank you very much, mate.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. On to the next one then. So yeah, take us away and tell us about this awesome fixture between. Sorry, I can't actually see the screen anymore.
This awesome fixture.
Weird. I said this awesome fixture, and then I realised I can't see anything because my screen's gone blank here. I think it's Southampton v Forest, so I'll let you talk us through it. And you're right, I probably used the wrong word here. I'm going to just hide myself for a second so I can try and get the screen full again.
Yeah, listen, I don't think we'll take as long as this one than others. It was actually quite a good game. It was quite end to end. Some people might have thought at the start it would have been a bit boring, but actually it was a bit the opposite. Listen, Southampton, I think people had a lot of high hopes from coming in. I think it's going to be a little bit the same old story for them, really. There was times where they were on top. They had more possession in the game, but they just didn't do much with the possession. They never really do much with the possession, and I think that's going to be the story for them for the season. Unfortunately, ended up no goals. Forest, Gibbs White coming in, a little bit of a nightmare in the box, a little bit of ping pong, and it fell to Gibbs White and he finished. But he was in that position, which was better. They probably should have scored before that. But yeah, it was quite a good game. But it shows you Southampton's inability really to get the ball forward into decent positions. What I did notice is throughout the game they get very deep, Southampton, very, very quickly, and that brings the opposition on, and it just gets them to have a shot, really. Pretty sure I think they had 22 or 21 shots in the end, Forest, which, listen, it's even if you're home or away, that's bad stats and bad reading. They're very slow in the possession and the build-up as well to go forward, and that's what stops them. It gives the other team time, even Forest, you know what I mean, to get time, get in position, and stunt their attack out. In Forest terms, fairly solid. They didn't offer too much going forward, but again, like Gibbs White, He's always there to kind of seal the deal for them. He was fortunate, but he took the goal well. Yeah, actually, just looking at my stats, they had 23 they had 23 shots. So listen, if you're asking for 23 shots when you're at home, you're asking for trouble. Apart from that, Kieran, there wasn't too much. I thought. Again, if you're listening or if you're watching it back, always add something if you think you've seen something and we've not. Chuck it up. But yeah, did you see any highlights? Did you watch this game, Kieran?
Yeah, so one thing that stood out to me in this game was similar to what you were saying, and I think it does stand out in these. Well, the first image on the right of the cumulative expected goals, so the chances, but the threat, the opportunities, and that's one of the ones I find quite interesting because it kind of shows the flow of the game and how teams are creating more and more of a threat as the field's tilting towards one way or the other. And once again, Southampton had that threat, and that threat should have been equivalent to a goal.
Yeah.
But in terms of the chances, along these data points here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 shots that combined for an expected goal of 0.23. That's just shocking. So to Claire's point, sinners rather than saints on that day
I like that.
is absolutely spot on. The other image I like here, and again, these stats come out and they're sort of instantaneous after the game, so they don't take into account the entirety of the game. So we can see on the right here, we've got Southampton is for sort of 73 minutes of the game, for Forest is 67. But it just jumps out to me again where Bednarek with 114 passes being a central player for Southampton. And often you will see centre backs having a lot, but that's a lot. Him and Harwood Bellis having, well, who had 87 is absolutely crazy. So they were looking to hold possession around the back and then go wide, but not really have anything centrally. And that's going to be an issue for them. We saw Cameron Archer do well in the League Cup. So is it having Brereton Diaz out wide here? He's the 17, and having Armstrong out wide not working, and you need someone in that middle because there's not really anyone. And then you compare that to Forest. Everything is centered around the center. We've got sort of Gibbs White, that number 10. We've got Hudson-Odoi, the 14. So again, you can see Hudson-Odoi is going to be central to everything. You can see how high up and how central in the pitch he is. You can see the passes all going sort of towards him and him being involved in that. So not really a surprise that Forest are the team that if you give them control of it, they'll take their chances and they'll have good volumes of chances. Because again, we can see comparing the graphs here, multiple shots and in short succession of each other. So using that threat and having shots and chances within it.
Yeah, and it's good from the graphic, like I was saying, that they like Championship last season. What they used to do is they used to get out wide quick and attack quick, especially on the break, and that worked for them. What they're doing this season is they're getting out wide fairly fast. All right, not the fastest, but not the slowest. But after that, they're taking an age to then get it forward, and by then the other team's set. They're in the defensive positions, and it's hard to break them down. Even Forest, even though Southampton are at home, even Forest, it's hard for them to break down, and they keep doing that. They're not the best at recycling the ball either, and you can see from that graphic, yes, it's not good reading, and that's honestly, Kieran, like before we started doing this, I didn't think what we, how we watch the game would correlate as much as the graphics, which is it's really interesting, but there is always some stuff that you don't see, with the graphics and the stats, and that's why we have both sides rather than just one. You don't get the full breadth from just one.
Exactly. Final points on that. Claire highlighted Forest 23 shots to Southampton's 5, which again you can see that on that previous chart here with just the peaks or sort of the uplifts. Colm is singing All Saints to us
Forever.
One
But
thing
yeah,
that
I think
annoyed me about that
go
song
on.
was they said the alphabet runs right from A to Z. We're English.
We're
Didn't,
not America.
yeah, never like that. I know it rhymes better, but yeah,
I think it was more for
do
the
better.
rhyming ability. Yeah. Do better. Come on, do better.
Perfect. Well, look, let's keep this moving along here. Fulham, Leicester. Tell us what you saw, Shane.
Yeah, Phil Leicester was a good game. And I had quite a few assets as well, which was good. It's always good to have a few. Um, Listen, for long periods of play now and again, 5-10 minutes, Leicester do keep the ball, and they keep it fairly well. They don't do anything with it really. They get a few attacks, but they don't really do much with it. And that leaves Fulham to, after a while, that goes on. Leicester have dominant periods. Fulham have got the players to just get the ball on the foot and then just progress from there. Forward passes and start opening Leicester up. And that's a little bit what happened with the first goal for Smith Rowe. Was a little bit on the break, switch wings, passed it Smith Rowe. He still had quite a lot of work to do. He was under pressure from defender, but listen, took it fantastic. With assist from Adama Traore, who yeah, he actually got an assist for once. A little bit of an end product, but I think that was more down to Smith Rowe's finishing rather than Adama Traore looking up. Um, Listen, for the slightly long periods that they don't have the ball, they're just getting battered. To be honest, Kieran, they are just getting battered, and it's just attack after attack. Even Fulham, yeah, granted you're away from home, and that's how Leicester seemed to play last season. Defensively, build up. Obviously, a different manager, and catch them on the break, quite like Southampton. But listen, when you got to step up, it's that's not always going to work. And they seem to have one route of play, and that's it. Um, Steve Cooper after, it's just the way he's talking about the team and how they were unlucky. It's not got good reading. But then less felt phase. I was going to say conceded, but he concedes all the time. But he equalised from a corner. It was a bit of a poor goal to give away, but yeah, nonetheless, I think they had 0.53. I think I wrote it down. Yeah, 0.53 xg. So they were fairly fortunate to score. I thought Fulham would keep a clean sheet, but they didn't. Um, Anton Anthony Robinson. Listen, he had some really good play up top with Muniz. Muniz missed a few. I wouldn't call them sitters because they were still difficult to finish, but the kind of way he finished last season, you'd expect him to finish. So, um, yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with him and the way he's playing. But at the end of the day, he's getting him good positions. He's getting good XG, and it will come if you've got him. I'm an owner, so it will come. And what did come was the winner from old school Alex Iwobi from a Robinson assist, which was quite good, especially for me. I've got him. Didn't get the clean sheet, but he got the assist. Um, and yeah, really, again, it's a bit of tale like Southampton. Leicester, they're almost there. They do okay, but they always seem to lose. And I think Fulham on the day were deserved winners. Did you see the highlights of this one? I think you did, didn't you?
Yeah, and I watched some of the extended ones back on this one in particular. It was one where, yeah, couldn't quite get the right way of watching more than the extended highlights. Things kept crashing here and there. But I tend to agree with you. Again, Leicester create threat. Fulham created more of a threat. Fulham seemed like the better, more established Premier League team that knew how to control the game better and did control the game when they were at home. I think it's the kind of game where you could see this being the other way round if Leicester were at home. So I think these are those kind of games where Fulham had the edge and both the cumulative expected goals from the chances and the threats aligned to a 2-1 scoreline here. So we got the right scoreline given everything, given the quality of those chances. Not necessarily the ones that were higher quality were the ones that were scored in Fulham's cases. So I think, referencing your point, we've got a couple of Muniz ones here that are quite significant jumps. And he should be doing better, is the reality. Robinson's owners should have another assist or two because he should be putting some of those
Yeah,
chances away. And we can kind of see that when we're looking at this passing network. We can see Smith Rowe is wide as a 32, but it's like Smith Rowe, again, it's the triangles. Do you remember we saw this with Fulham on the last one?
we did. Yeah. It was that
Triangles on
triangle
the
with
left
Smith
and
Rowe.
right. Yep,
Yeah,
so we got Smith Rowe, Robinson, and Iwobi. That same triangle, nice together on that left hand side. And then on the right hand side, you've got the triangle of Pereira, Traore this time
Jesus.
round, and Tete. So they're just creating those opportunities. The goalkeeper's playing further up the pitch. So they're trusting Leno to be a bit more progressive with the ball. Again, you'll see that more at home, but it is going to be a system that we should be looking for Fulham to be doing more and more of. And then Leicester, on the other hand, sitting deep throughout the game. Again, the right kind of shape. So we're seeing that same passing network and shape that Fulham have, But if you look at those triangles, well, on the left-hand side, it's reversed rather than having that sort of more forward player in Iwobi and significantly deeper. And on that right-hand side, yeah, you kind of got triangles in there, but you're involving the centre-backs a lot more into it. So we
Yeah.
got the score that we probably should have from that one. One thing to reference on here, because I'm not sure if people can see the writing at the very, very, very bottom, but the arrow brightness reflects the number of passes completed between those two players. You'll often see that being between centre backs, just in any
Yeah.
game. So if you see that elsewhere apart from it, then that's where to pay attention. And really, the only one that stands out here is every time Lukic gets the ball, he looks for Smith Rowe, 20 to 32. Now he is a centre midfielder and he is opting for left rather than right every time. So even though Smith Rowe might have only had that one shot in the game, when the ball's breaking from the back, Lukic will go left more than he'll go right.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the players look for that. But you just go back on that one. Like I'm saying, like listen, Leicester. I know they had 0.53 xG, but that was, I mean, that header it was a bit of a poor goal to give away. But look how deep they're sitting. Like I know that's the way they kind of play. You know, a little bit of break with Vardy, but Vardy's not going to play every game. And moving forward, I don't see them scoring many goals. They've scored in the first two games, right? Yeah, they scored against Spurs and against Fulham. Um, so moving ahead, I think they've got Villa at the weekend. I think that starts to dry up. And like Southampton, I think they start getting a bit jittery of battering start coming in. An important one as well is I don't know if Wout Faes is going to play at the weekend. You heard that he's trying to force his way out of the
Trying to force
club,
a
I
move,
think.
yeah.
Yeah, which listen, that leaves you with Vestergaard and who drops in after that? Probably have to shift someone across, but yeah, listen, Wout Faes is a decent player, but you could see when that first goal went in, they were starting to kind of shout at each other already. He drops out, or even if he doesn't drop out, it's probably best if he does maybe drop out because if he's in there, he might not do as much. So I'd keep an eye on them moving forward, and for me anyway, I'm going to attack them, which we'll talk about later on.
There's a quick bonus one for you. Every time the ball goes towards Andreas Pereira, they're significantly increasing the chance of scoring, but that's majorly taken up by set pieces. But his threat from set pieces alone was almost 0.6 xg in that game.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, and he's on all set pieces and everything like that as well. So there'll be a time when we look at him as well. We'll bring him into our teams at some point, but not with Smith Rowe just now, anyway.
We have Kanj.
Oh,
Kanji's jumped
God.
in, who
We've
runs
been
some
lucky,
pretty
Kieran. What's
awesome
going on?
spaces. Yep,
There
jumped
must
in
have been
through
someone
my
stream.
X on there at the moment.
Yeah, there must have been someone
No,
stream that's just finished.
no. These are coming through X. We're getting comments on X, which is look. I watch
Oh, I
Juice,
like
and
it.
and sometimes you don't see them. They don't stay up there, etc.
Yes.
So we'll definitely share those ones. And the point that Coleman realised was once, or sort of mentioned, once Anderson starts, are we going to start seeing some long balls there as well? So yeah, I think out towards
Good point,
those
Cole.
wide
Yeah.
players.
And by the way, in fact, that's a good point. Just to expand on that, but he will come in and make that a more tight knit unit. Calvin Bassey, I don't think he's a bad player, right? But he's a strong, athletic individual, and he just needs Anderson to say now and again, Calvin, go and not run up there. Do you know what I mean? Like a speed of 1,000 gazelles. Just temper it a little bit, and I think him sitting next to him will do well, and they'll tighten up, especially at the back. So it's a good point, Cole. Oh, Matt, thank you very much, mate. Don't make Kieran. Beauty and the
We
Beast type
do.
sketch. More
I
Beast
don't
from
know
Shane
who
and more
is
beauty
who
from
here.
Shane.
Well, no, yeah, you're definitely the beauty, Shane. You are the beauty of the show.
It's
And
the
and
long
look,
hair. That's what it is.
we are both like eye test people, but like to look at the data and sort of particularly
Yeah,
these
we do.
visualizations. Right, this is what I prefer more than numbers on a spreadsheet. This brings it to life because it tells the story. You can see XG means XYZ. Here you can see how that was created by the combination of those shots and how the game flowed as well. So take us on to the next one, Shane. Palace West Ham.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed this game. Really enjoyed this game. It was quite end to end. Listen, like we're saying, you need the data and the eye test as well. Even though it says West Ham 2, Palace 0, that wasn't really the story of the game. It was a lot more even than that. And some say that Palace should and maybe could have won. A little bit of frailty at the back just let them down. But no, it was an entertaining game from both sides and a lot of players on both sides as well. kind of things that I wrote down here is especially when they push higher Palace, they're getting broken on quite a lot. That's something that I did notice. They're pushing fairly high. Obviously, Eze's the tip of that spear, and everything goes through him. Everything goes through him. I've written down he was unlucky to not get a return. Was very very high during, which he's one of the main goal scorers. You'd expect that, but owners can feel very very hard done by because he's just on everything. Like you're saying with Fulham, everyone looks for kind of Smith Rowe, everyone looks for Eze every single time, and he makes things happen. And I do wonder how much longer he's going to be at that club because he seems to have stepped up a level. In my opinion, when you look at his touch when he's on the ball, just his presence. I don't know if he'll go this time, but I think he'll definitely go the next time. So yeah, he was unlucky not to get return. West Ham kind of got them for the first one. They kind of, like I'm saying, they kind of caught them on the break, and it was a little bit of a slingshot within the box. And Thomas Suchek came in and smashed it in and finished it. And then only 5 minutes later, Jared Bowen, another breakaway. This is what I'm talking about. Palace, they're a bit susceptible on the break, especially as they push a little bit higher. Jared Bowen, a little bit of a ball carry and great finish into the bottom left-hand corner or bottom right-hand corner. It was really good. Someone else who stood out for me as well. We'll come to you in a minute, Kieran, but there's one difference in that. For a Palace West Ham game, I'd always think Palace would score. Always. And I thought they should have scored the other day. But there's one player in that backline for West Ham that makes the difference, and he did make the difference at the weekend. And that was Max Kilman, who got the assist actually for Jared Bowen. He's everywhere. He's an absolute monster. I think he's quite young, isn't he? 23, 24. He brings a lot of calm to that side. And he kind of changes the overall, not the style of play, but just building from the back. He does make a difference in the way West Ham build up, and it showed in the performance. And in the end, it's probably quite fortunate West Ham won, but Palace, listen, it's not going very well there just now, is it, Kieran?
It's not, and look, I think a few of the things that we'd highlighted in that last game, particularly with Palace, and it was one thing that I'd mentioned was when they're building from that back, they're building that width from the fullbacks, and they're getting Wharton to go one side, and they're getting who was it this time, Richards again to go the
Yeah.
other side. So again, we can see the 26 and the 20. This time they both went the same way, interestingly, and they tried to kind of fix it with they had Lerma back, that'll be why. So Lerma moving more to that left hand
Yes.
side, but again, if you're looking at that, that's creating like a massive gap down the middle that was just so easy to exploit. And I'd mentioned that free reign in Rome. I didn't expect it to still be Souček, but whoever plays that in West Ham was going to have a good game because it's the free position for them. So it translated that way. Again, Palace had more threat and a higher expected goals than West Ham in this one. And if we look at it, West Ham should have gone ahead early. Palace should have equalised pretty much immediately after that. And then gradually, Palace, West Ham had control of the game until they went 2-0 up, and then they kind of sat back. Again, your analysis on that, what we tended to see, we're seeing it again here from that threat aspect. Anything else that jumps out? No, not really. I think, again, we will tend to see certain players being more involved than others. We still see those strong lines between those sort of centre-backs. And we see Kudus being the furthest forward West Ham player. So the one they are looking to on those breaks. So, yeah, good turnaround by West Ham. They look stronger defensively. I think as they continue to add players back into it that they've signed, I think they will continue to get stronger and stronger. I think Palace are a team in trouble because they've lost a lot of players, mate. Elise's gone. Guehi's unsettled. Anderson, that Cole mentioned earlier, is gone. So this
Do,
defence now is not the same.
do you remember what? There was a point that I brought up pre-season. There's always these teams that we think pre-season they've still got a bit of a kick from last season, and I earmarked Palace as one of them that we thought, oh, they'll do well, and they don't. And there's always one or two teams that happens to this season, and this is Palace. And for me, I didn't really see. Listen, you still got Eze, and I get that. And at the start, you had Anderson, but at least he was a huge loss for one. Anderson, I'm surprised they've let him go. And I know they want to have a little bit of revamp at the club. I get that, but I can't believe they've let him go for that price as well. I think it's a bit of a steal. I did see today. I don't know if you've seen that Newcastle said they've given up on Guehi. What transpires there, I'm not sure. They might come back in on kind of deadline day, but it's a bit of a weird because I don't know what Steve Parish was doing. He asked for 70 million. They said we'll give you 70 million, a record fee, and he turned them down. I know he's a key player, but I don't really. What do you think's going on there? I think I
I
don't
just don't
know.
think Glasner's going to be happy for long. I think we could see
No,
him being a manager. Look, he turned out Bayern Munich. I think if a big job opens up relatively early in the season, someone's going to come calling, and he's going to be willing to go, and Palace will be willing to take that money. I guess quickly, and I do want to move on past them because happy to chat through these, but I also want to talk a bit more about what we're hoping to see from other games. But
yeah,
but Claire mentioning that she's glad she swerved Ezra and the Palace defence, less service with no Elisa, and too much upheaval in their squad. So yeah, completely agree. And I know you've already shared it, but we've got Nima in the house who's
yeah.
going to give
Neva,
it
how
a
you
watch
doing, mate?
back fully later. But awesome to have Nima on here. Fortunate enough to be on his new show earlier on in the season. So really appreciate that. And look, we've been talking about getting people onto this as we start picking up a bit more understanding how we're going to do it. But it'd be awesome to have other
Definitely.
people just chatting through, like, tell us about the games you saw. And if someone's not seen any of the game, cool, no problem. But tell us about the ones you have seen. So we'll definitely be getting people on, and Nima will be one of those we'll be extending a reach to. But Shane, back over to you to take it away and tell us about Spurs versus Everton. Basically, in my
Here
opinion, the
we
game that
go.
got you out of a lot of danger, you and a lot of other
Oh,
people,
really?
with a completely fortunate Middlesex club getting a result.
Well, yeah, they did get a result, and listen, that's probably. I think Aye, the owners were unlucky. I think that the first game that they battered Leicester, that it should have been roughly about the same scoreline. But yeah, listen, Spurs Everton. Really, to condense, Spurs battered Everton. Really, is if I could say it in a nutshell. I'm trying not to be biased because if you've got players within your team, you try and see things that you don't see. But listen, the first thing I would say is with Basuma in that side, so much more solid. And obviously, he's come back from his little escapade. He's come back a bit of a changed person, and straight from the off, you could see that the control that they have with him in there is just so much better. And he ended up scoring the first goal, and what a goal it was, by the way, Kieran. Can I just say, do you remember like in the older school Premier League, you used to see a lot of crossbar and ins. You don't see that anymore, do you? You don't really see crossbar and in goals anymore. Oh, I thought you were saying that. I thought you were
I'll
saying
add
that.
myself back on for a second, but yeah, like Spurs, cool. I'm hoping to just leave you with this one and the analysis because I don't want to say too many good things about them, but
Well,
it was a decent finish.
it was, it was. And then talking other decent finishes. Listen, Son, if you're a goalkeeper or if you're any player and you dilly dally like Pickford done, and he basically gave Pickford a goal. He said, "Yeah, I've mistouched it. Come and have a goal." Rounded him and then finished off. That was the first of his brace, which as an owner, I was very, very lucky. Not very lucky. I was very pleased that he got that, which he kind of maybe should have got in the first game, but he didn't. Um, Listen, they're playing. I think it's a bit different when Son plays up top as well, which he did against Leicester. He was out on the basically on the byline. He had chalk on his boots, but up here it was a little bit more dynamic from the front to the back. Defense more stable, attack more deadly, I would say. Um, and yeah, that was a big difference. Son with the second, and also Christian Romero with a header. Listen, and by that point, that's three. Everton looked a done team. They didn't really have anything about them. They've got quite a few players missing, and you could see that, especially at set pieces, the corners that Romero scored from. There's nothing about them. There is really nothing about them. Take nothing away from Spurs, look fantastic, and they look now set to be gelling. The only thing I would say is there's a little bit of rotation kind of doubts on a certain players coming into Spurs, which, listen, European football, you'll need that. But going forward, just be careful about who you select. But no, all in all, good game, entertaining. Could have been more. And yeah, my prediction of Everton getting relegated looks set to continue, Kieran.
It does, mate. And yeah, I think, look, some interesting stuff from this game. And I guess the first thing that jumped out to me was the thing we saw last time, and the thing that I was saying beforehand. Get defenders that are playing against Everton. This is a team that we know are a bad attacking team. A team that scored 1.1 goals per game last season. 40 goals in, or like 42 or something goals in 38 games is just not good enough. And they have the threat, and in fact, they had more threat throughout the entire game than Spurs did, but they did nothing with it. They
That's the
took
thing.
very few chances or shots. The shots they did take, one looks decent throughout all of that, and that's when they had their highest period of threat. They had early threat, but again, they don't do anything with it. The graph on the right kind of shows that they are making a lot of progressive pass attempts all over the pitch. And Spurs are doing a lot more on that right hand side, probably because Son was central. So there's less of that familiarity on the left. And I think people would
Hmm.
have seen those positions where we were seeing sort of Udogi so far forward and central and Porro as well. So both of them looked that way. I'm having a quick look to see if there's any other ones that sort of stood up from that. That's probably worth showing that I can share on the screen. So give me 1 second just to click
Yeah,
on
like
this
I'll
one.
just fill as you're putting that in. But yeah, listen, the young right back, the 18-year-old who came on, he done as best he could. I think he's been playing for the 21s. He had an okay game, but listen, when you're in that Everton side, it's quite a baptism of fire for the young lad. Um, it's quite a daunting prospect. Kulu, Son, Udogi popping up as well. So listen, he done what he could. It was an okay performance, for his first Prem start. Good effort from the lad, but by then, this something that I've been marking as we go along. I'm reviewing every single goal that gets scored, and I've made like a massive spreadsheet of how teams are conceding and also how they're scoring. So, for instance, free kick, corner, on the break, that kind of thing. And there's some interesting patterns already coming out. One of the headers that I've got is mistakes, and that's what's creeping in. Son for his goal, Pickford made a mistake. Before that, there was another mistake that 3 or 4 passes before led to another goal. It's
But
not
see,
going well there, is it?
I don't think it's necessarily mistakes is the right thing to say. I think what it is managers all trying to play similar systems to some of the best teams now, which is playing that ball out from the back, but not necessarily with the players with the quality to do so, or
Yeah.
adapting to the fact that the press has been significantly better. You've got a Spurs side here that the press is so heavy that they're going to concede. And Claire was one of the fortunate people here to get sort of that Spurs clean sheet, and not just that, but getting 9 points from him. And Romero smashed it as well,
Oh,
right? So
naughty.
Spurs defenders smashed it this week. But again, looking at this expected threat, they shouldn't have. Everton definitely should have got a goal in this game if they had players capable of putting the ball in the back of the net. So they were a team both of us just thought were weak at the start of the season and would be battling around relegation. I know you had them to go down finally, which I know you've already been clipping and looking to share. And again, like
Getting some
apologies
shots,
for
yeah.
Shane and myself. Like we are both in that category now where on the age selections we're ticking 36 to 50. So
On the smaller scale, by the way, if anyone's wondering, you know what I mean?
I
Like,
know,
I'm
but
quite small.
how is that the range that we've moved into, mate? Why is that range so big? Why are all
I
of the
know.
other ones where you're like, oh, nice, yeah, cool. Like, I'm hanging with, well, that was going to sound wrong. I was going to say I'm hanging with the 23-year-olds, but like, that's weird. But now it's
Yeah.
like to 50, like, and then the next one's like 50 to dead, I think.
Yeah, pretty
But
much. Yeah. But
I'm
yeah,
sure
it's
they've
funny
got to
how.
adapt. But yeah, look, it's poor Everton, and Shane's been clipping it, and they won't be the best quality from either of us yet, but we don't really care too
We'll get
much.
there, won't we? We'll get there. We improve something every week, and that's the main thing. It's about the chat. But like you say, in football, quite often, it doesn't go the way that it should, and that's why I like to do both sides. Talking of games not go the way you should, and we're living in a bit of a mad world. Just so everyone's aware, Las Palmas lead Real Madrid with an assist from Ollie McBurney. So that's the world that we're living in right now. Okay. And me, even as a Scotsman, I can't believe that. All right. So yeah, we'll let that sink in, and we'll move on to the next game. I can't believe that. It's insane. Be part of the Gladiator soon. Cool. Man City game, yeah.
It is indeed, mate. Take it away.
Man City game, eh? Right. Okay. So this is the game that I was pretty much hiding behind my sofa for. And yeah, listen, Start, I actually was quite surprised by Ipswich. They were quite progressive, and they didn't sit back as much as what I thought they would, and that obviously resulted in the goal, which in hindsight for Ipswich is probably not the best thing to do is score at the Etihad because it's going to be even more pressure. After that, yeah. I mean, by the way, on that, it was quite a well taken goal from Smuddox. That was his first start as well. Um, so good effort to him. And the fans went mad. So good effort to Ipswich. But after that, yeah, it was pretty much back against the wall. Started off with a pen. Leif Davis, the guy that Kieran did big up, and he is a good player going forward, but it's definitely a weakness for Ipswich.
Was
Um,
that a penalty though, mate? Like,
I know what you mean. And yeah, it's one of them that see if you're a bigger club, in my opinion, you get. If you're a Wolves or a
but was it
Everton, I
even in
don't
the
think you get
box?
it.
Was it even in
I,
the box?
I think he's played it. Is what I said. You know, he has played
Well,
for it.
but it was one of those that
It
confused me,
was
right? Because
light.
if I'm not
It
mistaken,
was light.
the ref didn't give it. It
That's
then
the thing.
looked like it was outside the box as well, right? Or like so close to the line that his foot's there on the
Yeah.
line, and yeah, like you said, Savinho, it's a foul,
So yeah,
but not one that I'd expect VAR to overturn and go, oh, and it's also in the box. So it's almost
no.
if they went, that's a foul. Oh crap, is it in the box? We think so. Do you want to go have a look at this, mate? Which then he's going to assume it's in the box, right? Because otherwise it's not being reviewed by them.
Yeah, I think as a bit of a trained referee, Kieran, no, not high standard. I'm not doing the Prem next week, so don't worry. Um, yeah, by the by, it was. However, like you're saying, the referees made that on pitch decision. And was it big enough for him then to go to VAR to have a look? In my opinion, no, it wasn't, and it should have stayed a non-penalty on the rest decision. If not, again, like they said, they don't want to go to VAR for every single thing. And again, I think it was that big club syndrome. I think you could see, listen, when you're at the Etihad and you're getting a VR review, it's going one way, really, isn't it? It take a lot of minerals for him not to. So I thought that was a bit harsh. I thought it was a bit harsh. And then after that, really, they kind of fell apart a little bit. Ipswich, which early on, listen, I didn't expect. I thought maybe as time progressed and Man City started knocking on the door, and getting forward more and finding those spaces, it would happen. But 12-minute pen, early want to see. Uh, yeah, which is not good. 2 minutes later, a bit of a nightmare from Muric. Like, it was a bit like Son's goal, really. The keeper, I don't know what he was doing, tried to kick it out, gave it to Kevin De Bruyne, which I was lucky he took it and not Haaland because he was next to him. So at least I was happy he scored. Um, yeah, and then after that, it was a little bit of low. Man City took kind of the foot off the gas. They are still licking goals, which I'm concerned about. I think something within that is, for me, is Kovacic in the middle. He's never in between. He's really, really good in the game, or he's
Mhm.
really, really crap. There's no in between with him. You know what I mean? There's no average 70 score. And I think that was a game that he didn't seem to track. If you look back at the first goal, if people had a look at the highlights, he didn't track, and that was how Ipswich got forward for that goal. And they keep conceding these wee goals, even at the Etihad, which I would be concerned about, especially when your rival is keeping clean sheets against top four sides.
Yeah, but if you're scoring 4, it doesn't matter how many you concede, right? If you're winning by more of a goal difference there. I,
Yeah,
I
I
tend
get
to
you.
agree with you here. Like, this was just. There's nothing surprising from what we see here on the territories of control in the passing network. City out of possession. There's only really 5 players on there because they were hardly ever out of possession, right? Um, City in possession. Silva running across that centre, controlling things and dictating it. Savinho wide, Lewis up high and wide. KDB heavily involved, and again, one that we were discussing for that game. I was saying I thought Doku could do well, or Foden. Savinho ended up being fit and did fantastically, and
He looked
KDB
good
just
again, didn't he? I'm
he
liking
did,
Savinho actually.
and KDB's looking good too. So when we look at these and we look at the passing network, that Man City one is literally, here's a low block, let's pass our way side to side around the low block and look for chances. It just it's all outside, and you can kind of match it up with that Ipswich passing network, and they're all around them, almost covering them, right? So when Ipswich get the ball back, they pass it amongst themselves, trapped amongst Man City. Man City win that ball back high, or it goes long, where Diaz, Kovacic, or Lewis recover it, run up the pitch with it, and do it all over again. And it's just that recycle relentlessness. And when you've
Yeah.
got the quality that they do, you'll just continue to sort of penetrate teams.
And that leads me on to kind of a big point is quality. Listen, Ipswich done well. Listen, 2 seasons ago they were playing in League One. It's a big, big step. Even the Championship to the Prem is a big step, and it's something that I notice every game. They're giving, like Leif Davis that penalty. Oh, it was a bit difficult, but the quality difference is showing already. And see, when it's to get to about 70 minutes and they bring on other players, it further progresses after that. After the 70th minute, the quality does go down, in my opinion. Listen, yeah, he's, especially against City, they're chasing shadows. They have to bring subs on. But 70 minutes plus, if there's a team that's scoring 70-minute plus goals quite often, I would look at, bringing them in to attack Ipswich. And the other thing in there.
But
Sorry,
we can't say that, right? Ipswich have played literally Liverpool and Man City. We can't say
yeah,
anything
no,
about Ipswich yet, right?
yeah,
Because
it's a good point.
I promise you will never see if I put these passing networks up for the rest of the season for the next 5 games, you will not see number 3, Leif Davis, anywhere near there on the pitch again. He will be further forward than that 23 is. Like,
Yeah, it's a good point.
We just can't. Like, you can't. Well, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, hardest 3 teams you can play. You get
Which is
one of
maybe
them
good
at
to have
home.
them at the start.
Yeah, you've got them out of the way now.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
people are like, "Oh, Ipswich going to do anything?" Yeah, they will. I'm not saying they're going to stay up necessarily. Well, I am, because I predict they'll stay up. But these 2 fixtures were always 2 fixtures where, as a manager, as anyone, you're not putting down any points next to City, Arsenal, Liverpool at the start of the season. You're going, right, there's the 6 games we get nothing from.
Exactly.
Then you start looking at the other games, and you will look at a Villa, Newcastle, Spurs differently and think we've got a chance against those teams. So, yeah, let's not read too much into Ipswich or City right now. We haven't really learned anything from City or Ipswich based on the opposition either of them have played so far.
No, I think one last thing before we go on to the next one, because we don't want to take too long in each game, but there's one big thing. Listen, I was pretty confident at the start of the season, but I'm pretty confident that Arsenal still win the title. There's now one thing that has changed, that is Gundogan coming back. Because they were very, very light in midfield. But he's going to make quite a big difference in there. And listen, what a kind of quality player that you can go from City to Barca and then just go, yeah, I'll just go back to City on a free. Do you know what I mean? It'd be amazing.
We covered him off last week, mate. Going back to Gundo again, he doesn't get 2 weeks of airtime. We'll wait for him to actually. I know he came on and got his second debut.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
That was the one point I had made, and probably the one thing I wanted to see that would happen, because this was one of the elements that held me back from going Haaland triple captain. Let's say Haaland scored 2 goals. Gundo gets subbed on the pitch. The City are up 3-1. Haaland takes that shot from range, and it hits someone's hand in the box. Who's taking that penalty, mate?
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. And by the way, we never covered that third goal off. Great finish. I think keeper should have done better. But listen,
yeah, exactly. Like, just
in general, to cover it, Haaland was lucky, so we'll just move on that one. Yeah.
Well, that's it. I wouldn't say he was like.
No, I'm
okay.
joking.
I responded to someone saying Arsenal were lucky to get a clean sheet, but said that there was no luck involved in Haaland getting a hat trick. I'm like, but no. But both are lucky, right? As in, Haaland had enough shots to get a hat trick, but the majority of his XG, not the majority, but a large percentage of his XG was taken up from a penalty, which they were fortunate to have overturned and awarded to them. And then that third goal, I felt the whole way his ceiling was probably around 2. That third goal, to your point, 40 yards out, turning and shooting without that much power. Yes, it's low and hard, which is the hardest place for a player to save. Yeah. But my concern, and I said this last week about Muric as well, that in the Liverpool game, my issue with the Jota goal when Salah passes the ball across is the fact that as Salah has that ball in his dribbling and is still outside of his box, already Muric is back in his 6-yard box. So there is no longer closing off. There's a massive goal to aim at, and there's no angle or pressure on Salah whatsoever. Now, again, I don't think it would make that much of a difference, but you've gone from no chance to a chance. This situation, he's flat-footed on his line when Haaland's got the ball 35 yards out from goal. Why are you on
Yeah.
your line? If you are on that 6-yard box, you are covering off that angle.
Yeah,
And
he's that
again,
nightmare
we
there.
saw it with another one of the goals. I remember watching that one as well. That I think it might have. The KDB one, was that a mistake from him? I think it was, wasn't it?
It was. That was the one. Yeah, he messed up and it fell to KDB.
And then the first one was a penalty. And then what was Haaland's second one?
It was the
Silvino crossed it to him.
slight cross. Yeah. Brought it back. Yeah. And then obviously the third one.
Yeah, and on that one, I think Muric went the opposite way and committed too far. So, like, that's my issue with Ipswich is the goalkeeper isn't helping them. So, yeah, look, let's move past Man City onto the team that you think will win the Premier League, mate. Tell us about Arsenal in their game against Villa. What did your eye test tell you? And I'll tell you why you were wrong.
Hey, Arsenal won. I thought you'd be happy.
No. But as in, like, I was, yeah, quite. I recovered, I think, yesterday from watching this game on Saturday.
Okay. It was a heavy one, was it?
It was.
No,
There's one where I was convinced it would be 2-0 throughout. And actually, one thing I will say,
really?
right, before you jump into it, guy standing next to me in the pub, right? And I said to him, give it 4 minutes, mate. And Arsenal scored 3 minutes later, right? We cut to a bit later, and we'd all had a conversation about how really don't want to celebrate, like, or have one player on the team, and you know who it is. And I went, and ironically, he'll score. And the guy looked at me and went, "You're the most optimistic Arsenal fan I've met." I went, "I'm not. Like, anyone who's met me over the last 10 years will say I'm not. But like this year, it feels right." And he goes, "All right then." And I looked at him and went, "Give it 5 minutes, mate." And 4 minutes later, we scored that second goal. And he went, "Sorry, have you just prematurely, like, have you called both goals in and got them right but wrong by a minute on each occasion?" I'm like, "Mate, I've been premature my whole life."
It's what I do.
It's what I do.
No,
I
it was
will
good.
always deliver. It will just be sooner than I told you I would.
But no, I mean, like you're saying, you watched the game as well. But it was good. It was a good game. Two very, very good sides. Very tactical. I know all games are tactical, but obviously these managers more.
The football game was tactical. This is
Yeah, the
the
football game was
analysis
tactical.
that people like Combe have tuned into. Combe just said here, when we're going on to who you think will win the league,
Villa.
Villa won't win. Well, just to highlight, he's a John McGinn fan, followed by a Man City fan. That's the right order now, right? Is that
I'm not.
Shane?
I'm not a Man City fan. John
No, you
McGinn,
are.
Super John McGinn, up there.
You are captain in the Man City in the Greyhead League. One thing I realised I didn't mention when I was talking about Nima, and I was doing it for everyone else, but Nima show is locked in FPL. I'm sure anyone who's watching us knows about that, but obviously give it a shout out too.
Yeah, great show. It was two good sides. Really, really interesting watch. Very, very good.
Another quick one before we go, because I know Onions is going to jump off.
Yeah.
I've seen your message on Twitter, Onions, about your move. I will
Good to see you, Onions.
have a look at it, but you've got Palmer in, mate. We'll catch up tomorrow. We'll definitely discuss your moves in there. You've got Palmer in, so I think you'll sleep well.
Yes,
right,
Nima.
we'll jump into the one that Nima is still here, listening to us about. Villa Arsenal, mate. So yeah, tell us, as a Man City fan, how did you see this game?
People are going to listen to that and go, maybe it is. No, it was good. It was. I watched this game actually with my little boy. It was good. He was shouting every 2 seconds, so I enjoyed it. Listen, Villa, even though they're at home, played fairly defensive. I mean, listen, they're playing Arsenal, so they kind of have to be very, very solid in most, if not all, departments. But listen, Arsenal, they just find a way to win, don't they? You know that more than anyone else, is they just find a way to win, and that's what they did. Trossard came on. He just got. I don't know how he does it. It's like a Jota Mark II. I don't know who's better, but he always comes on. He always scores. And I think his celebration was a little bit of validation of, maybe he should be included now and again. But no, it was really good. I think. Listen, Watkins was unlucky not to score, and let's talk about, before we go into the second goal, which we're not really too bothered who it scored about, but it was a good finish all the same. Shot from the edge of the box. 2-0 after that, and the game's kind of done.
Saka assist for Saka owners as well, which was the
it
more
was
important part.
Yeah, and he's always taking over. See, when I watch an Arsenal game, because I don't have him, I'm always like, oh, just don't give it to Saka. And he always, when he's on the ball, he makes stuff happen. Um, but let's talk about, as we're delving into this, the Watkins miss. Listen, I know Arsenal kept a clean sheet, and you've got to have luck within it.
Which miss do you want to talk about?
Yeah, that's the thing. He doesn't have many preseason minutes, Watkins, and it showed on the first miss. All right, all he's got to do is take a touch, and then play it in. Or maybe if you've been playing for a while and you're kind of hot on it, then yeah, hit it first time. But that was a poor miss. And then the second one, listen, fantastic. You see the keepers doing that when you go to the game. You see them warming up. They make a save and then they back up off the ground. So it's fantastic recovery. But Watkins has to put that
No,
second shot. He
no,
has to put
no.
that away.
Look, I'll
It's
give you the
right
first
at him.
one.
It's at
Shane,
him.
so, no, Shane, I'll give you the first one, right? The first one, and we see it
Terrible
on here.
miss.
Like the second one is a higher XG chance, right? But I don't know if you saw it on Match of the Day. Micah
Mhm.
Richards' face when Shearer is saying, "Oh, he's got to get an angle on that." Look at the direction that Watkins comes at when he dives on it. If you try and get a glancing header on that, you've put that 20 yards wide. That's not hitting the
Yeah.
target, right? You've got a goalkeeper here at this moment on his arse, right? This is the one point. This was, and I will say, like, against at least 17 other goalkeepers in the Premier League, that's in. That is just in. There is no question about it. It doesn't matter where the keeper is. He's put it far enough away from the goalie. Raya gets up and pings out an arm there in ridiculous time. As a
Yeah,
goalie myself, like that speed to get up, you say you practice it, but this is a different scenario than the practice, right? Because this is one of those where you've gone backward. You're now in your goal as the ball's hit the crossbar, right? And bounce back down in there. So could he potentially have got a slightly different angle? Did he make too good contact on it? Arguably, yes. But that's an unreal save. That is,
it is. No,
if
take nothing away
Ramsdale's in
from him.
goal, we've conceded that. And again, I'll stick like any goalkeeper. You're not getting up that quick. You don't have those reaction speeds and that ability. And that header was great. I don't have any issues with Watkins on it. I've jumped onto this screen here because I think one thing that's quite interesting is people go, Arsenal were lucky on it. Outside of those chances, if you look at this cumulative expected threat, Villa didn't really do much. Like, there wasn't sustained moments of pressure. What you'll get with Arsenal, and we said it, was you'll get a chance or two. No matter who you are, you'll get a chance or two. They won't be the best chances in the world.
Mhm.
And Arsenal now have a world-class goalkeeper there. So when you get those chances, you're still not going to score them necessarily. So that was the case for Villa. 2 chances, great goalkeeping for one of them. Terrible finishing on the first one. No composure, didn't get his feet set
Yeah.
at all.
Should just take his
That one
time.
I'll stick with because that one I have no issue with. The second one, I will defend Ollie Watkins and also praise Raya there. And I would encourage people to go back and watch it and look from the angle. And you're like, you can't move your head even slightly there because you're then, that ball's brushing.
It's going.
There is no
Yeah.
power coming off it because it's come off of a crossbar and it's spinning. That bounce, you have
Yeah.
no.
I think.
And as a ref, you see that as well. When the ball bounces off the bar and then hits the floor,
Yeah.
that can go any direction there.
Yeah, no, like you said, take nothing away from it. It was a world class save, and if anything else, like you say, maybe you can't get the angle, but the power was even alone that should have went in. Didn't.
Yeah,
Fantastic save by Raya, and it's not the first he's done. That's not. There's no coincidence that he's not. He's got what 18 points over the first 2 games, and that's what I wrote down actually. Kieran. Again, it segues into both of. I've just put down here Arsenal. They always find a way to win, just better quality on the day. Like you're saying, they'll always get those few chances. Might not be the best expected goals, but they'll always make it count. Whereas Villa, again, you've seen there, they should have and they didn't, and that's what separates the very, very good teams from the good teams. But no, it was
exactly.
good. It was good. It was a good watch. It was a good game.
A couple of other things that I just wanted to show quickly, and I'll just share my screen again here actually because these are ones that I didn't really add into it, but player worthy. Nedeljkovic, it'll be interesting to see if they'll do anything. I don't know if they have while we've
Good
been on
point.
here or if they do before tomorrow, but I do like how attacking he is in possession here. You compare that to Dinya, and we can see
Mm-hmm.
very, very high up. Rogers is exactly what everyone thought. Look at where he is in possession there. He was so strong for them. We've
Yeah, he was
also got.
always.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
for it, mate.
No, I just on that. Not to go too much to FPL, we'll do it at the end. But he's he He does have threat and he does play it forward, but he's more of a ball carrier. I'm not seeing much. Listen, it's two games, so you've only got a small sample, but he seems to get the transition between kind of midfield to attack, and then it'll go to someone else. But he has been unlucky, and he's good going forward. Fantastic player, and he's what is he? 22, 23.
If
Great player
that,
to watch.
yeah. And Arsenal wise, just very high, both sides. Timber put in a great performance in his role. Arsenal did well. That was really it on those ones. I think it is worth sharing the Martin Odegaard one, who was just fantastic again for Arsenal as a player.
Yeah, he's class. You feel like he's been around for years, don't he? And he has, but he was what 15 at Madrid. That's probably why.
Exactly. But look, let's jump back onto these two. Nothing else really to show on these particular ones. I think probably the other ones that I've shown are better representation, but probably the one that does stand out. This is a Villa team that are very good. We saw that last season, and look at the volume of chances in that half space for Arsenal and where they've got it. 55, the highest we've seen so far here, and that we can compare that back on that Man City one. They had less. I didn't show that one, but sort of they had less. And we're looking Arsenal against Villa. I'm saying they had less. I am going to go back and check that whilst we start talking about the next game, just so we can verify on it. In fact, I'm looking. I don't know if we necessarily have it on that one. Sorry, I'm just scanning through. Yeah, we do. Man City had. Nope, I'm completely wrong. Let's share this because actually this is noteworthy. Wow. Wow. What would you guess Man City's chances in the half space are? You've got Arsenal's here in front of you. What would you guess Man
Man
City's
City,
were?
how many did Arsenal get? 40 odd, did you say?
You've got it in front of you. You're looking at the screen right now, right?
Oh, of course I am. 72.
Here we go, mate.
That's about 300.
114.
Jesus Christ, you can't even see the pitch. Look at that.
Yeah. Expect to see a lot more for Ipswich in the next game. But
yeah, that's it. They've got the hardest ones out the way.
Cool. Bournemouth v Newcastle. We only have a couple of games left to go. This is one of the least interesting ones, I guess. Oh no, we've got 3 left to go. So yeah, look, one of the least interesting ones. So we'll probably only do a couple of minutes on this one.
Yeah, there wasn't. This is actually a game I watched. This was the early game, I think, on Sunday, if I remember. Again, I watched this with my little boy. Yeah, it was a little bit of a damn squid game, really. Again, we expected more from Newcastle. We didn't really get it. We didn't really see it. Right from the back as well, really. Defending, not the best. Midfield play, not the best. And up top, they scored 1 goal. Not really what we come to expect of Newcastle. Bournemouth on the other end. Quite good, actually. Pragmatic. Always look for that forward pass. And they felt quite strong at home. I had that feel, even though they're playing Newcastle. I felt that feeling that they're always on the ascendancy, which was good. Yeah, I mean, I've wrote down here as well. Very off. I wouldn't have the double up between Gordon and Isaac. Isaac, though, he did have a few kind of half chances, but apart from that, he didn't really play the best. It wasn't, yeah, it didn't make for good reading. A little bit of a boring one in periods. One big weakness at Bournemouth that they have actually changed now is the keeper. I think Neto's kind of done in the Prem. I know they've got Kepa, which should make them a little bit better. First goal for Bournemouth, or the only goal for Bournemouth, Marcus Tavernier. Terrible defending by Newcastle. Literally just a square in the middle between the 2 centre backs. Got mixed up, and Tavernier was there to tap in. From a Semenyo assist as well, who's starting to play quite well, especially in that 9 position. And then Newcastle equalised through Anthony Gordon. Barnes came on as he always does. He's always involved in it, and he chipped for the Gordon finish. It was a good cross and a good finish. One thing of note, Tonali. I think Tonali did play that game, didn't he? Did he start that game? Kieran? I'm sure he did. Did he?
No,
Or
his
am I
first
wrong
game's
on
back Spurs. Mate, his Spurs is first.
okay. Well, he's back, so that'll make a big difference. And then midfield, I don't know, Newcastle, just no player was really on it at all. Even going forward, Joe Linton wasn't the best. He maybe should have been sent off for the for the choke slam on Neto. Obviously slowed the play down for them to break, but maybe should have been sent off. And then Bournemouth. I don't know if you've seen the handball, Kieran. I thought it was very, very harsh. I thought it was a goal. I know they've changed the rule this season, so it's the sleeve. It's like a little bit
But
higher.
it didn't even hit him. It hits the Newcastle player's shoulder. It doesn't touch him. It's the Newcastle player's shoulder.
Did it not hit his arm? I thought it like
No,
on his shoulder. It kind
I
of
don't think
bounced.
it
No?
does. I think that is fully Newcastle player's shoulder. I'll see if I can find it
I
back.
mean, even
But
if he did, I did watch it back quite a few, and even if it is, that's like we're talking. Yeah, if by the law, by the book, centimeters, is that enough for VR to change it? I don't think it is. And again, I think it was that syndrome of
and
there's a
that's what
bigger club,
Iriola was
there's a
saying.
smaller
Like,
club.
go and watch it because it hits him. Like, at least on those, and those are the ones where I think the ref should be allowed to see. I know that it's meant to be a black and white, right? But that's an
Yeah,
example where it would have been good to hear the ref go, "How sure are we it's hit him?"
it wasn't big enough for him to go in, and I think that again, that was the big and small club syndrome. Listen, without showing that back line is a big deal. They're a little bit all over the place. And Eddie Howe's not really getting the maximum out of those players just now. I don't know what's going on. They've not gelled, they've not mixed fully. Again, we're 2 games in, so it's a little bit of a small sample. But Bournemouth look pretty good. Newcastle were a bit under par.
Yeah, and look, sort of the game itself, and I didn't really show the cumulative XG and opportunities here, but actually both, it should have been a 2-2 game according to that, not a 1-1. Both pretty evening match throughout. Bournemouth
Mm.
had more areas of pressure and got their goal. Newcastle didn't really finish their chances for a while and then got their goal and probably should have won it late on. Outside of that, Semenyo I do like. I just have concerns over him in terms of Evan Nilsson's involvement and what that means for Semenyo moving forward. But again, heavily involved here and increased chance of scoring each time he was there. Anthony Gordon switched over to that right hand side, and I think that was an important thing, right? Where Murphy probably isn't working now. We do have to see that Barnes, Isak, Gordon one. I'm not concerned about my Newcastle players. I was looking into it and thinking, not saying I'm not concerned, but as in they have Wolves in game week 5 or game week 4. There's no way I'm selling anyone before they play Wolves.
No.
Not right now. I might
No.
change that decision in the international break, but after what I've seen, and Arsenal weren't necessarily the one, but this kind of takes us on really to the next game because I'm looking at the passing network and yeah, look, Isak's the furthest forward as you'd hope for him to be on Bournemouth,
Yeah.
and really that's my point about Bournemouth, where Semenyo at the moment you can see on here, and what number would you guess Semenyo is? I don't know if you can see the numbers and the players, but what would you have guessed?
I think he. I thought he's not 10. I think he's 19, is he?
He's 24, so not quite in a position that people think he is. 9 is Evan
Yeah,
Nilsson,
yeah.
but you've got Clive at sort of a little bit further in from him. Again, that's more to sort of draw those centre backs out and then lay Semenyo into those spaces than anything else. But yeah, I'm not worried about Isak. I think this game against Spurs as well will come onto our prediction shortly. We've only got 2 more games to go, so look, let's jump into that
Yeah.
Chelsea one, mate.
Oh, he kept one of the good ones there. Listen, probably the most entertaining of the weekend. Again, stats don't tell you everything. I think you'll probably come up to with the XG at some point, or it'll be in here. But it wasn't really a 6-2 game. It was a fantastic game, though, literally end to end. Again, watched it with my little boy, and it was good. I mean, if there's 8 goals in any game, it's fantastic. Listen, again, we'll probably be a bit shorter on this one, but Chelsea found a bit of scoring rhythm, however, still concede, willy-nilly, if you will. And Wolves, again, it was a lot closer than the 6-2. They had a 15-minute time where what's his name scored his hat trick. And they just kind of, I don't know, they just kind of switched off. They lost positions, they lost their head a little bit. So within that period, out with that, it was still quite progressive for both teams. And yeah, they just kind of took it to each other, which was good. They thought, if you score one, that's no dramas. I'm going to go back up the other end and score another one. A big thing I noticed for Chelsea, really, I've written down here is if they lose it in transition, which a lot of teams do in transition, you're pushing players quite high. They're very, very at risk, and that's what happened for both their goals. They were in the transition from defence to midfield, lost it, and Wolves countered and made the difference. With that, Gusto, he pushes really, really high. So again, if you lose it within that period, it's harder for them to get back. They've got 1 or 2, and they can't get back as well. It showed you tonight as well. I don't know if people have seen the European, but they've been beat by that team at home. Sorry, away 2-1. So they conceded another 2 goals. So that doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. They're quite passive, I think, through the lines. I think a well-structured team will be quite easy to play through them. They don't seem to track too much. They stay in the positions. They say obviously Mascarara is that's what I call him. He's got a way to play, and he's not going to change that. You know what I mean? And that's good. It's exciting. However, they're going to concede a lot of goals. Wolves on the other end still looked all right going forward. Pretty good. Strand Larson. I know you've highlighted him a few times, and actually he looks one of the good shining lights of Wolves. Again, they're easy to play through as well, though, especially in the midfield department. Yeah, they've got their 2 lines, but it's easy to play through them. From then, they're outnumbered, and Chelsea countered. And then Cold Carl Palmer. Listen, where did he get a goal and 3 assists? I think. We kind of forgot how good he was, and yeah, listen, he is class. And I think we kind of forgot that, but now, that's the title of the pod tonight. That yeah, he's back on everyone's mind. Talking of that, I think you've got him in as well, haven't you? Which
I
was
do, and
always the
look,
plan, to be fair, Kieran. Which was always the plan.
yeah, look, and look, couple of things on this game that I found quite interesting, and again, sort of, I was making notes as watching this game too, was Chelsea's like Levi Colwill was so important in Chelsea starting those attacks from the back. His speed to get those balls forward was imperative to it, and everything went through Cole Palmer. Everything went through him. He was
Yeah.
so heavily involved in that centre. Chelsea were, both teams were turning the ball over pretty similar, but other things that stood out were like Chelsea were winning all of those duels. Like Podence and Doherty were contesting so many, but winning so few, whereas Cucurella, Gusto, Colwill were dominant. And this was just like a masterclass in efficiency and control and realizing how to get at a team and just doing rinse and repeat, right? Palmer every single time, bang, there's Madueke, bang, there's Madueke, bang, there's Madueke, bang,
Yeah.
there's my goal,
Yeah.
right? And like Wolves generated a higher XG and they had more accumulative threat. We can see that from these 2 graphs here. Like Wolves, according to both of these, should have won this game, but Chelsea capitalized on their chances. They maintained control over possession. Palmer's performance was particularly noteworthy, right? Like significantly in terms of that expected threat and that ball progression, and Chelsea's dominance in that field tilt. It was that superior control and execution. Whenever Wolves would have those chances, Chelsea were just strong defensively, and Chelsea were clinical finishing, and they were the key differences. So look, there's different XG plots out there in terms of like what it is, but I think all of them have that Wolves outperformed Chelsea in terms of XG in that game.
Yeah, I mean, like saying, I put up there onions. Don't know why Chelsea's XG was so low. I mean, they scored 6 goals. Granted, all right, taking advantage of it, but yeah, I would thought it was a little bit more. But
that's where like StatsBomb and other ones will take in the quality of that shot where the goalies are. So like KDB's, for example, should
yeah,
have been almost like a 95% right open goal, no matter where you are on the pitch when you're KDB. So there's different parts on it, but fundamentally, this is more based on the like expected goals models are trained on 50,000 plus shots using the gradient boosting,
yeah.
and so it's applying the same ones across all of them. So like Chelsea should have got like 1.4, 1.8, depending on the models that you're looking at goals. But it was just clinical finishing and just poor defending, poor goalkeeping.
Yeah, particularly from their left-sided centre back. That's where Madueke scored all his goals. Just a simple ball in, few touches, finish 3 times. Yeah, Wolves are looking a little bit at risk. I know they've had, all right, Chelsea, but you'd expect a little bit more from Wolves, especially with the manager there. So yeah, they need to start buckling up a little bit, to be honest. In fact, actually, they've got a new keeper, haven't they? Ramsdale. They
Yep.
got there?
No, Southampton.
Oh, he's gone to Southampton, yeah. On that, I have put Sa. I think their backup keeper might get a shot soon. He's not looking good, Sa. He's really not, and I think they might bring him in. But Bentley, I think they might give him a few games. But we'll see how that goes. But yeah,
Onions
again,
was
you got
asking,
to
by the
watch him
way,
here.
about I don't know who's he asking about. He's put Kabila. Now I don't know if he means Badiashile. I don't know if he means
Or
Koulibaly.
Lavia. He's put on there Lavia.
Lavia, is it? Okay,
I
cool.
think
There we are. That makes more
I'm
sense.
guessing I think he's just resting him. Onions. I think he's got that many players. And listen, I tell you who we've not actually spoke about, even though we will kind of get over a little bit is Nkunku. All right, scored another penalty tonight, but Mudryk played tonight as well. He started, and he started the weekend. So,
Yeah,
listen, we
no,
just
but
don't know who's
it's
going to
just
play.
at this stage they're just rotating them as they need to, right? Um,
Yeah,
and I think with that Chelsea one, like yes, he was one of their stronger players, but they were playing Man City in that first game, so he set up with Caicedo, Lavia, and Enzo. I think what we'll see is we'll see certain games when Nkuku and Palmer are both playing as that 10 and those kind of ones, and Enzo's not playing, and we'll see Lavia playing behind, etc. It's about getting those right combinations and someone strong enough to be alongside Caicedo.
yeah.
Okay, final one, Shane, and we've gone way
Cool.
over what we were aiming for timing wise,
We
mate, here
have,
for
we
this
have.
segment of it. Just by about an hour so far. So do you want to talk us through the
We're getting there. We're
Liverpool
getting there.
Brentford?
Yeah, listen. Again, we'll kind of tip over it because we're kind of running out a little bit of time. We are getting better on it, so yeah, bear with us. Yeah, Brentford, Liverpool, Brentford. Good game. You got kind of what you expected of both teams, really. Brentford set up really defensively, fairly strong in every single department. And they kind of standard. I wouldn't say they were boring, but they do generally the right things at the right time. Really good manager, and it does show, especially in the stat up there. The way Liverpool had to play in and out of possession. Brentford are a good team. Wisson and Buemo, they're a little bit dangerous on the attack, especially with Tony gone or he's about to go. I'm not sure what club he's going to go to, but yeah, they link up really, really well, and they link the midfield to the up top to the attack really, really well. Liverpool notes again. What I've got in here is absolutely savage on the break, and that's how they scored the first goal. Won it back just outside the penalty area, ran up Diaz, a little bit of a carry, and then a good finish from him. And they've been like that throughout as well, really, even against Ipswich. So Salah scored his goal. And it was kind of, it tended to took me back to like, the old Suarez days, it basically won it in the box and then up to him and then he runs up and scores. So that was in there. What I like from Slot is, and I've put on here, he doesn't take any passengers. We've seen the thing with Kwanzaa. If he's not playing or if someone playing not way, if someone's not playing the way that he wants them to, he'll bring them off. He's a bit no nonsense manager, and I kind of like that. And he's brought a little bit more sureness to that side, especially defensively. Before it was we'll score three, you score one. This, he'd rather win a 2-0 than a 3-1. Other little bits I've put down is Robertson looking good. He actually got quite high quite often. Maybe should have scored. It was a bit difficult shot, but good save by the keeper nonetheless. So moving forward, maybe a double up on Robertson Trent might be a good shout. Talking of Trent, look, he looks fantastic. I'm glad I've got him on my team. Moving forward, set pieces, crossing, everything. He looks fantastic, which would you expect at this stage.
Mate, he's so
Um,
prime for a haul, isn't he? Like the fact
he
that Trent's
he
points
is.
have all come from clean sheets and not assists or goals yet is the
In the
start.
first game, Jota should have finished that. Even that, he had a cross, and maybe should have finished a bit better. I think it was Jota again. In fact, it was Jota again. He should have finished. Listen, he's got some big hauls coming. So if he's not in your thoughts, maybe think about putting him in your thoughts. Maybe this weekend, which we'll touch on as we chat about our teams at the end. But no, what did you see in terms of data on the Liverpool Brentford, mate?
Yeah, and again, less on the data and more watching it. But like Liverpool were just dominant, right, throughout that game. If
Very.
we look at the data, then the XG was over 2, the expected threat was over 2, the field tilt, which is sort of like where the ball is, was 72% Liverpool, which means it's basically in Brentford's half the majority of the game. Liverpool had 62% of the possession. It was just, yeah, strong key passing network between Trent, Szoboszlai, Robertson, both Robertson and Trent as far forward as each other, basically, right? Where a lot of threat going on there. And Brentford had, limited influence. And Bumo looks good. I
Mhm.
did think that there were a couple of times where, and we were saying it, where Brentford are going to have a lot of opportunities this season are getting in behind teams that overcommit on the fullbacks. But the challenge when you've got Liverpool is there's a lot of pace still in that defence. I think against lesser teams, Brentford will do pretty decent with those kind of counter attacks on it. Other things of note really is kind of like Trent, right? And I think if I'm not mistaken, and again my screen's gone funny here. I don't know why it does that. It's probably because I keep adding things on here. But again, Trent was pivotal to this team. We can see his position, all of his passing on it. He's over on the left on certain ones, and that is to do with sort of going short for set pieces for corners alongside Robertson. But just strong on the carries and the passes and creating the threat. I think in the next couple of games, there's definitely that Hall incoming and probably the player I'm most concerned about, mate.
Yeah, is he? Yeah, I mean, I understand why he is. I mean, when he's on the ball, he makes stuff happen. So dangerous, so progressive. He's a class act, and like I'm saying, I'm glad I've got him.
Well, look, Shane,
But
let's.
yeah, I
I
think
was going to
sorry, just
say,
just finish off on that.
go
I
for it.
just think even though even though Liverpool played really really well, I think take nothing away from Brentford, still a very very good team. Just Liverpool played so much better, that made them look mediocre really at best.
No, perfect. All right, so look, on to our predictions from last time.
Here we go. Yes.
So we both went Brighton. Brighton won.
Yeah. Hey, listen, that was a great show.
Yeah, we both went West Ham. I went 2-0. West Ham won 2-0.
Nice. I like
We
it.
look, we were saying that we were both feeling a little bit boring, but we both went Fulham. Fulham won, and they won 2-1, and I went 2-1. Um, we're not doing points for scores here, but we're obviously going for our scores now, thinking on this one. We
Yeah.
both went City, and we both got that correct. I think we went like 3-0 and 4-0 on it, so neither of us thought they'd concede. Uh, Southampton and Forest, we both got wrong here. We went with different options for the first time, and we picked the wrong ones. We left the Forest win. Spurs v Everton, you've nailed it with 4-0 there.
Oh,
So
I'll take
you hit
that.
a good one on the head there, mate. Villa Arsenal, we both went Arsenal and I went 2-0. You were less sure of the clean sheet on that one. Bournemouth Newcastle, both Newcastle. Wolves Chelsea, both Chelsea. Liverpool Brentford, both Liverpool. So, mate, we both got 9 out of 10 last week.
I mean, it's going well, Kieran. You know what I mean? This whole mix of stats and eye test is pretty going well, I think.
It is. So look, let's I think what would be sensible, let's move on to our predictions for this week and how we see the games going out and sort of talking through that a bit. And again, I'll be sort of editing that one in live and trying different things on here. And we'll spend a couple of minutes on each team, why you see it happening that way, argue with the other person throughout. But if we agree, some of these will be pretty quick. And then we'll move on to our respective bus teams and what we're looking to do this week. And I guess, look, as you're going through predictions, it's probably worth mentioning players, mate, from an FPL perspective. And then we'll go on to a few of the questions that I've seen that have come through.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I will add onto the stage now. I don't know why I'm sort of narrating. There's people that listen to us on a podcast, and I'm letting them know that I'm adding something onto the stage, which is completely irrelevant. But here we are. The dramatic build up, but here we go. So Shane,
Ooh.
shall I kick off Arsenal Brighton or should
Yeah,
you?
go on. I think you go on. You go
All
on.
right, Arsenal Brighton. So I see this as a really interesting one because I think pre-season people would go easy Arsenal victory here, clean sheet. What we've seen is Brighton keeping 2 clean sheets and Arsenal keeping 2 clean sheets. Now, if this was at Brighton, I think there'd be a chance where Brighton could get maybe something from the game. I think we've got an Arsenal team that seem very organised, disciplined, structured throughout. I think they will give chances to Brighton, and I think there will be threat from those wide areas. And I think, again, it's another game where I hope Zinchenko is not playing, and that Timber seems to do well against Bailey, so hopefully we go for the same.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. In terms of other aspects of it, we know Brighton like to play out from the back, and I think there will be opportunities for Arsenal to get some high turnover. I think Kai will be pretty central to everything Arsenal do. And the reality is we're probably still going to be looking at Hinchelwood on that left back side, right? So if that's the case, you probably do fancy Saka, Odegaard, and White to be able to create a lot of overload on there and create those chances. And whether those chances are going on to the player coming in from the left or pulling it back out centrally will be interesting to see, because we've seen whether it'll probably Wifra and maybe Baliba playing for Brighton this time.
Mm-hmm.
But if they try and get behind the Arsenal players, then it will be easy for Arsenal in that transition when they win the ball back. I think this could be a game Brighton could get a goal, though.
Yeah.
And it could be through a Minter or someone like that on the attack. But I'm an Arsenal fan, so I'm just going to back my team and my 2 Arsenal players and go for another 2-0 victory for sort of just this calm,
Oh,
composed start to the season.
another two now,
And
eh?
correctly, yeah, sorry, Onions, it was 2-1 against United. I completely forgot that. I didn't forget about that goal, but just, slipped my mind momentarily. Well, I did forget about it if it slipped my mind, right?
Oh yeah, of course it did. Yeah, so 2-0. Listen, I think Arsenal will concede. I think Brighton. I think they'll get one. Will they get two? I'm not so sure. Um, do you know what? I go Brighton 2-2. Little Desmond.
What's a Brighton 2? How have Brighton won the draw here on you, mate? How have you gone Brighton 2-2? Surely it's just draw
So
2-2. What is a
I
Brighton 2-2?
Oh, so well, you could say, hey, a win, hey, a draw for them is probably a win. But yeah, I'll go for the draw. I think it'll probably be.
Arsenal letting in 2 goals at home.
Well, that's the thing. I was thinking 2-1 because Brighton will score, right? I think it might get a little bit lax, and yeah, they'll concede near the end. I think big Danny Welbeck pops up for again second one.
I'm going to leave the reaction to Geddy here, mate, and let you move on to the Leicester prediction.
Hey, you never know. Right, Leicester Villa.
Oh, and
This is a
just
good
a
one.
quick
Give
one.
me.
Geddy's also predicted 2-0 for us here.
Oh, 2-0. Well, I don't know. Concede. Hey, if it's 2-1, you know
No,
what's
mate, just
coming.
move it. No, just move on. Move on to Leicester. Done with you now.
Leicester Villa. Listen, I think I'm looking at doing a triple up on Villa. I think they're going to be strong at the back. Leicester have scored first in the first two games. I don't think, even though they're at home, I don't think they score a third. So I think Villa keep a clean sheet. I think Watkins finally finds a bit of form, and I think it turns into a little bit of a pattern as well. So I'm going to go 4-0. I think it's going to be total domination, and I think Leicester are going to start thinking that they're in trouble. And that's with Fez playing or not. It doesn't really matter. Pretty sold on that.
That is a bold one, mate.
Mm.
I think that Villa's defence still is questionable. I think they're quite structured, but Arsenal did create quite a few different opportunities against them. And I think Villa, I am expecting, like, these are the fixtures that this is sort of their fantastic fixture run. If you look at the fixture they've got from here,
Yeah, they do.
moving
Yeah.
forward, you need Villa players in your team.
Yeah.
And people are looking at Morgan Rogers, understandably so. I think Leon Bailey's going to be good during this period. And I think if there's ever a period for Watkins to get into form, people go, oh, he's in form. Fixtures are a massive component to that. And this is one of those. So I would tend to agree with you. I think Leicester will still get a goal because I think Villa are going to have a few people that they're still adding into the team and finding out who their best back five are as they integrate them. But I think they'll get caught out on a break or sort of a crazy Martinez moment or something like that. So I will go with a Villa 3-1. Everton, Bournemouth. Look, there's... yeah, I think Evan Nilsson and Semenyo are going to be key in this game. I think it could be quite a comfortable one. I think Everton will have more possession than they do in other games and have threat. They're at home. A broken clock is right twice a day. And with the amount of expected threat and expected goals that they've had, I think they might find a way to break through. What will be interesting is Bournemouth have got Kepa now, right? And whether or not he starts in goal or Neto for this one. I think it'll be Neto for this one. So I think that could be Everton's chance, even though I rate Neto for it. So I will go with a Bournemouth 2-1.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same. I think it takes a wee while. Everton at home, so they're going to be a little bit jittery. But again, I think they get themselves into trouble. I don't want to go the same score as you, but
You can, mate.
yeah, I
You
think it will. I
want to
think
get
it will be.
it right.
I think it will. I think it'll be 2-1. Everton, they will score, and they will. Do you know what? 2-0. Let's go 2-0. Actually, 2-0. I think they're going to be jittery. I don't think they're going to get much. They don't have much attacking prowess even at home, and I think it's going to turn from bad to very bad for Everton, to be honest.
Okay.
Forest Wolves. Wolves a little bit higher in Forest a little bit higher in Wolves. Wolves came off a bit of battering from Chelsea, though it probably shouldn't have been that 6-2. Still good going forward. I think it's a tight game. I think it's a 1-1. I think it's got a draw written all over it. Either I don't want to go 0-0. 0-0 is boring, so we'll go 1-1.
Okay. On the last one, by the way, Onion shouted a 1-0 Everton and Geddy a 1-1. So Forest v Wolves. I think this is a good game for both teams. From a goal perspective, I think Forest are looking better defensively, and I think this also could be one of those where we might see a Murillo or someone get up there and sort of. For me, one thing that stood out to me in the last game in particular, when I was looking at Nottingham Forest, and again, they're not a team. They're a team that I knew had good fixtures to start the season with, but a team where I wasn't quite convinced with a Morgan Gibbs White to start with, just with him not being on as
Yeah,
many set pieces, penalties. And I was chatting to FPL Meerkat and Charlie on a space, and it's something he'd said before, and I hadn't seen it at the time, but I know he put it out on one of his videos now. There's a difference between a Haaland and a Salah who take penalties for teams that win penalties, and an Mbumo and a Gibbs White who take penalties for teams that don't win many penalties. So we have to be careful how much weight we put behind that when we are looking at some of those players. The one that I'm keeping an eye on, though, is Nikola Milenkovic. So in the game against, understandably Southampton, but he had 3 shots in the box there. He is someone that's key for them from set pieces. So I could see an opportunity there for someone like him. As you said, I like Strand Larson. I'm keeping an eye on them for particularly game week 7 onwards to kind of monitor Wolves. I think there's still a lot of weaknesses in them, and I think that they could be in trouble. So I think Forest are going to nick this one, but I think we could have quite a fun game here, and I think it could be a 3-2. Ipswich
I like that.
Fulham. Okay, so look, it's where we see if my thoughts on Ipswich come true. They're playing against a team where they should feel confident playing against them, where they're playing at home, but they're also playing against a team who are used to similar types of stadiums and atmospheres, because Fulham are a team that have been up and down, over the last decade or so. So it's not going to work quite in their favour as it will at other ones, but I do think this will be a game that we'll see Ipswich try and play the football that they want to play in the Premier League, and their first opportunity to do so. I think Leif Davis is just going to be so fun in this game, because if there is a weakness in Fulham's defence and attack, it is more on Fulham's right-hand side, so Leif Davis's side. So I'd expect him to do well. At the same time, Ipswich will give up opportunities because they'll continue to look to play the ball out from going over to the right-hand side and looking to find Leif on that left. And when you've got players like Pereira and Smith Rowe and Muniz and Iwobi who will be hunting down those, there's a high chance of turnover and a high chance of any of those players being involved in goals because of the speed that they can turn it over. Probably less so over on that right-hand side. So, not mentioning Traore as much if he continues to play there, but it could be a game where both do well. I'll be starting Leif Davis. I'm not starting him because I expect a clean sheet. I'm starting him because I do genuinely see an attacking return in this one. And I'm going with it. I'm going with an Ipswich win here, a 2-1.
Yes, a tough one. Let's say Ipswich they've had a tough start, so this is the first fixture that we're going to see kind of what they're made of and the chances of staying up. I don't see either keeping a clean sheet, so that's straight off the bat. And it's just a question of what I see or who win in that midfield battle. And I think Fulham just shade it. I think Muniz finds a bit of form. I think Smith Rowe finds a little bit of room that he always seems to do just now. That'll be his 3rd game, so he'll probably be on for a little bit more minutes than he has been in the first game. And I think they just edge it in the end. And I go Fulham 2-1. Hopefully a Muniz double. That'd be good. On to so Brentford Southampton.
As a quick one, Onions went 4-0 Fulham and Geddy went 3-1 Fulham. So people are all on the Fulham train, and I am hoping that we get to see from Ipswich what I'm hoping to see from them, because I'm not expecting other people to be believers yet. It would be mental to be as positive on them as I am after no points in the last 2 games, and me talking up Leif Davis when he's been responsible for quite a lot of the goals in those 2 games.
Yeah, I think Brentford. I think this one's quite straightforward, so I won't take too much time up. But Brentford are playing pretty well, even though against Liverpool they got beat 2-0. Southampton can't even score at home. I think with Tony out the picture now, I think that's kind of getting that's that little bit of cloud. It's out the way. The whistling and Buemo show's back on, and I think they're going to showcase that at the weekend. You'll have a goal from one, assist from other, like a Son Kane scenario, and I can't see anything par. Quite a big win, and I go 3-0 Brentford. Strong at the back as they are at home. I don't see Southampton scoring, so 3-0.
It's seeming to want to bold some of yours automatically when I type. Not sure why. Maybe it's a sign.
How do you find
I
it?
think similar. I think Southampton do get a goal in this game though, but I do think
Mhm.
it's one that Brentford just really exploit them, particularly on the breaks in behind, use that pace against them. Southampton are strong centrally from a defensive nature to an extent, just in terms of there's a lot of height and power there. So I think they will win a lot of the duels and the long balls up there. So we won't see Brentford looking to play that. They'll be looking to keep the ball on the ground, and that'll be their way of really winning that game. For me, it's definitely a Sade game over a Lewis Potter game. So hopefully he gets that start. But I do think it's one where, wouldn't surprise me with the way Brentford play and the way Southampton will be running back towards goal to see them give away a penalty. So I'll go with a Brentford 3-1.
Yeah, it's the same as Onions. He's put Brentford 3-1. Geddy's put 3-0 within Bremo Brace, which a few people coming in, bring them in, so it's maybe a good shout. On to the next one,
Cool.
West Ham City. Oh,
West
on you
Ham
go, Kieran. It's a
City.
difficult one.
So I have been
Mm,
impressed by West Ham. They lost to Villa, but they would look better against them. And their result against Palace, we do have to appreciate that the last time they got absolutely smashed by Palace at Palace. And we can say
they
that
did.
Palace are weaker, but we have to give credit to West Ham and how they're improving. And, Kilman's looking particularly strong. So
Mm,
I think they're going to they put up more of a challenge than Ipswich will. It's an away game for City, which are slightly harder, and Upton Park is a good stadium, and I think the fans will be behind it, and it could be another one where City could go behind it first, potentially.
mm,
It's one that I do see West Ham scoring, but I also see Man City winning. It'd be
yeah,
mental to call this game a draw. It would be,
yeah.
because that's probably more of me as a fan thinking it can be. I think
Yeah, it's
City have
difficult.
so many weapons off the bench here, right? And I think that's going to be the important thing, because I think it will be a relatively close one.
Yeah.
I think it'll be one where it could be a 1-1 and City go on to win it 3-1, or it could be a 1-1. I think I've got to go with a 3-1 to your boy Shane.
To my boys like that. Do you know what? I was thinking exactly the same. I'm not going to waste any time. I was thinking 3-1. I think West Ham will score. I think it'll be quite close for the majority of the game, but City, they'll find a way to score it. And yeah, again, he's put 3-1 as well. They'll find a way to make the breakthrough. I think West Ham probably push a little bit high to try and get the equaliser, and then they get caught on the break. So yeah, I'm the same 3-1, mate. Yep. But listen, I only see Haaland getting one goal. I don't know if that's because I don't own him. That's what I wish for, but I think he gets just a goal.
It could be the Foden start as well, right? We might get that Foden start if he's fit, and
Yeah,
he could be the one that might be focused on it. Gundo might get a start in that game as well, but City
yeah.
should win. All right, tell us about Chelsea Palace, mate.
Chelsea Palace. Well, listen, Chelsea played tonight. They got beat 2-1. Obviously, come off the back
They
of a
were up 2-0
6-2.
already though in that game, right? So not that.
Yeah, they're already through. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the huge rotation anyway. Again, you don't really know who's going to play. Start Mudryk tonight, so is he going to start him? I'm hoping he's got Nkunku, and I've held on to him. He scored again, scored a penalty, so I'm kind of hopefully that he gets a start. Yeah, listen, I think Chelsea they found a bit of the scoring feet. Cole Palmer's come back in, starting to click a little bit better now, and I think they will score quite a few goals. Palace, I think there's still a little bit of uncertainty, especially in the back. What happens with Guehi on the final day, I'm not sure, but there's a lot of uncertainty on there. I don't think it's going to go well for Glasner for the next kind of month. So I see a Chelsea win. Whether they score or not, Palace, you would think so with Eze, and he is due a return, but there's something telling me that I don't think they will. And I see a 2-0 Chelsea home win, which is a little against the grain, probably.
I see Chelsea continuing some momentum here, and getting multiple goals.
Ooh,
I just think Palace are one of those teams similar to Wolves that, with the quality of someone like Palmer, he will find a way to unlock that defence. And once he finds it, he'll just keep doing it and
yeah,
keep
bang on.
doing it. And then when they adjust to it, he'll then find the next way through it and keep doing it. And I think he is in that kind of form right now. People aren't really appreciating it and seeing it, but this is a great game for him. It's a London derby. As
Mm.
you said, Palace aren't looking that great. I I'm going to be going with Chelsea. It's 4 or 5. I'll go with 4.
Whew,
I'll go with the 4-1 for Chelsea. Yeah,
like that.
I I was pretty warm on Chelsea, and I was saying it beforehand. Like I like Maresca as a manager,
Yeah.
Whether or not he's the best people person and media person is debatable. I like
Yeah.
Quaver. I always get Quaver and Questa. Why do I keep doing this to myself? Um, I don't want to say it wrong again. Yeah, Bernardo Quaver over at Chelsea for their set piece and
Yeah.
statistics
Yeah.
coach is awesome. And I think those set piece goals are coming sooner rather than later. In fact, they did score their first goal was a set piece work, right? Over to that back post, flicked on, back post, easy free header for Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. Yeah.
Similarly, though, they conceded a goal in that game to Wolves from poor set piece defending. So work to be done. An FPL fan dropped me a note straight away after going like, "Oh, what a set piece coach." Thanks. Recognise the goal as well. Shut up. Leave me alone. Give him time. I don't even like Chelsea. Go away. But no, I do think that they're going to do well here. Newcastle Spurs. Cool. Look, there's no way I'm going to predict Spurs to win this. Let's just get that out of the way right now. I think they can. I think they probably may, because Newcastle are a team that aren't looking great and Spurs are a team that are looking pretty good and like they've got their stuff together. But it's also one of those games where it's Spurs and they're going to leave those spaces for those players like Gordon, like Isak, and they will run at them. And it'll be a game where you'll see Van der Ven busting a way back. It's a game last season when we saw Van der Ven sitting down from what Isak was doing to him. So I think Van der Ven has that ability, that pace to go back, but does he have that endurance? Because I expect Newcastle will keep going at them. I think Spurs will score. I think Newcastle will score. I think this will be an end-to-end game. I think this will
Yeah.
be Sunday's going to be a great day for football. Just a
Yeah.
great day. So I'm going to call this one one of those fun ones. By the time Newcastle, that's not what's going to happen. It's going to be a 3-3 draw.
Oh, look what Gary's put. He's
Eddie
must
at
be
the
reading
same
your
time.
mind,
Nice.
mate. Look at
There we
that,
go.
3-3. Onion's got 1-0. Yeah, listen, I see both conceding. And probably by quite a few. Newcastle haven't looked the best. You either find I've looked back on the history and either Newcastle batter them or Spurs batter them. There's never really an in between. Who wins at the weekend? I'm not 100% sure. However, I think Newcastle aren't looking the best, especially with Shaw out. I think Spurs win. I think Isaac still scores finally, but I think Spurs win 3-1. I think they're too much, too strong. Especially on the break on the attack, and I think I think Spurs win 3-1.
Perfect. Cool. And then the final one to finish out Sunday off, mate. And
Oh, you want me to
predictions.
start?
Yeah.
I'll go with this
It's
one.
all on you,
So,
mate.
listen, Man United have actually got a really good record against Liverpool at home. I had a little look back, and it's better than what you think. You would think probably a battering, but it's not. They've won 3 of the last 4 against Liverpool at home, which makes for a bit different reading. But listen, I'm ready to stand by this, and I genuinely think this weekend, I mean, we've seen Liverpool on the break are frightening. United, when they're pedalling back, are all over the place. I genuinely, I'm not just saying this because people think I hate United, which I don't. I genuinely see a batter, and I see an early goal going in, and then I see backs against the wall, and I think Liverpool just pick them off, and we go for. Do they concede or not? I'm going to say they're not going to concede Liverpool. I think they'll be very strong, very up for it. I go. Oh, it could be big, you know. I go 4. I go 4-0. I wanted to
Wow.
put 5. Yeah. I honestly, there's just something
Jeez,
that
mate.
I don't know. I know, and even I'm a bit like, whoa, is that a bit much? But from what I've seen in Liverpool in the first few games, especially with United, they're one game away from a battering.
Four
And
0
actually,
away from 4-0 at Old Trafford,
I
mate.
know.
That is beyond
Well, listen, it was
brave.
4-0 3 seasons ago. And yet 3 seasons ago, I get that, but I feel it in my bones. Kieran is what it is. I feel it in my bones.
Who was managing each of those teams 3 seasons ago?
Probably Solskjaer, and
Klopp,
well, it'll be
obviously.
Klopp. Yeah, it'll
Yeah,
be Klopp. Yeah.
but it's just
But I just honestly, there's something, and I know United, like Onions has put 1-0, United maybe a pen. I think Liverpool too strong. I think United, they're people have papered over the cracks for them. I think it's a battering.
yeah. Look, I'm going with Liverpool 3-2, mate. I similar
Oh,
things to you, but I
3-2.
think like United at home, these are going to be the ones where you see Garnacho getting that goal and jumping and sitting up there alongside his mates and taking a
Yeah,
photo again. You know,
yeah,
it's one of those games. I think you're right in terms of Liverpool are the superior side, and they'll create those chances, and Salah will be good, and this is one of the ones I think Trent could get that attacking return and not be
yes.
complete. So it will be an exciting game. I think Sobslow will be heavily involved because I think the weaknesses for Man United is very much in that zone 14. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there and whether they go for the half space or more there. It will still be more half space, but I think we'll see an increase in it. So it'll be a good end-to-end game. United just having some fast players that can run at Liverpool, particularly when they do send Trent and Robbo too far forward. So yeah, I'll go with 3-2. One thing I was looking at, Shane, and I think I mentioned this to you with
Yeah.
me off work this week. I was looking to go and watch a random European game, and I was
You
saying
did,
to
yeah.
you I was going to head towards Wales to watch the new Saints play against Panevėžys, who are a Lithuanian team. Glad I
Uh-huh.
didn't travel with a 3.5, 4 hours up there, mate. It was a 0-0 draw.
Imagine that. I did see it. I was like, is he going up there? I was like, yeah, it's probably
Jeez, if
up
I'd gone
with
for that, mate, like if I'd done 7, 8 hour round trip, I was going to stay at a spa, but look, I can just treat myself instead.
That's it, yeah. Well, we'll maybe have to do that and do like we vlog. Meet halfway, go to a team that we've never been to, and go from there. But yeah, listen. Lastly, on that United, I think people underestimate Salah this weekend, and not because I've just got him on my team. I think he's going to tear them apart. But we shall see. What a day, Sunday, also an Old Firm day. Basically, it's football all day. That's the order of the day.
Exactly. So look, a couple of predictions. Onions has said that we're both back in Liverpool, and chat's all saying United 1-0 from Onions and
I
2-1
love
from
it.
Geddy. So look, let's jump onto your bus team quickly and just tell you. Look, you can tell
Yeah,
us what your issues are, and then tell us what you're thinking of doing, mate. And we'll only make this like a few minutes here because I think we've covered off most players anyway through
yeah.
this naturally. So,
Yeah,
duh,
and
duh,
as we
duh,
as we get the pods, we will reduce it. We'll kind of reduce it to half an hour left type thing. So we'll get there. We'll get there. But we just enjoy talking about it, which is the main thing. Yeah, bus team
your
wise,
bus team, your problems. Well,
yeah.
there's
I
still
mean,
too many Spurs players, isn't there?
that's always a problem for you. But I'm again since the start of the season, I've been fairly happy, and I've stood by my decisions. There's so many ways to play this game this year, which is the exciting thing. Whether you've got Haaland, Salah, none of them, both of them, it's good. Pope wise, I'm a bit worried that Pope's in goal against Spurs. It could be a bit of a battering. Defense strong. Don't really need to worry about that. Gabriel, Arnold, Robertson. My decision really is to play Gabriel or another defender who might come in. Midfield isn't really going anywhere. Got Jota, Salah, they're staying. Smith Rowe, he's staying. Son, he's staying for now. I think after this, they get the fixtures that change. He'll probably come out. He's 10 mil. I'm probably going to have to swap to Parma. That obviously you got Isaac and Mooney's up top. Mooney's happy with Isaac. I think he gets a bit of return on the bench. Porro, a lot of people are playing him. I just don't see. Yeah, he's got an attacking upside, but I'd rather my defenders being defensive with a little bit of attacking threat and a chance of both. And I don't see him not conceding, so that's why he's not going to come in. Solanke, we didn't talk about this before, and Haaland. For me, I think that's what hurt non-Haaland owners the most this weekend was Solanke. If that's 4-0, which it was, I think he's getting a lot of returns, and I think he doesn't match Haaland because it's a monster score, but a 10-pointer offsets a lot, and that for me is quite a lot. He's an issue. He needs to come out the team. In the meantime, have you got the transfer one at all? Have you? Oh, I just talked to that. I can't hear. He's muted himself. Can't hear him. He's had enough.
I know, had enough for you,
Oh, there
mate.
you go.
Yeah, I'll load it up in a second. But like you predicted Spurs 3-1, and you're not going to start Porro, so that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I don't see him getting return. I see him conceding. So yeah, I don't. If you're relying on a defender to get an attack in return, I know he's very attacking, but Newcastle at home as well, it could go the other way. But this is what I'm thinking of doing. Actually, Claire.
Just a quick one that
Oh,
I've just noticed is we're
yeah.
only in week 3, and I can see 3 like woohoo arrows on here, mate. So I think you made a mistake here because this looks like a hit in game week 3.
What's a hoo hoo? Oh, you mean like
Oh, that's arrows pointing
are
across
they?
like in and out.
Okay, right, got you. Well, yeah, Barco. Obviously, I mean, I was quite happy. He's locked. He's not going to go down. The issue is obviously Solanke. I don't think he's going to be back for international break, so he's going to drop value. Claire, thank you very much. She said in the chat, it looks like Nkunku's going to drop again. He's one that I didn't want to swap because I wanted to have a wee gander on, but if he's going to drop again, I can't afford that. Long and short of it, Concert is definitely coming in, 100%, and I think Gabriel's going out. Not because Gabriel's a bad player. I just think Concert's got a little bit more upside, especially with the fixtures. There's a little bit more chance. Kieran doesn't like that. There's more chance, and for some reason, I think he's going to score this weekend or get an assist. I
Mental.
feel it in my bones. Watkins, he is 100% coming in, definitely coming in. He should have scored against Arsenal. It looks like he's a bit more on it with his minutes. He's definitely coming in. Again, the fixtures for that run, you have to have him in. I think you have to have him in. And then the only other one, but I think I will do tonight because I think Cuckoo's going to drop again. I can't afford it. I think I take a -4 and I think I bring Bailey in. Bailey's also looked good for the two fixtures. He's been unlucky not to score in this fixture run. He's definitely going to score. I know there's a little bit of rotation there with a bit of Champions League coming in, but I'm willing to take that slight risk and play what's in front of me.
Yeah.
And that's about it, really.
But it's a
Yeah,
hit, mate. It's a
I
hit, and
know.
you're taking out an Arsenal defender,
I,
which
I
is
know. I know.
maddening. Which you don't need to, right? Like Bailey could be Rogers, and then you're still avoiding it all, right?
I just
Like,
don't see. I get that. But I think the Rogers thing, he does look fairly good, and he's been a bit unlucky. But in FPL, there's just some players that just they look good and they continue to look good. But
nah, but that's nonsense, right? Because we've just said here that first shot from Watkins, he definitely should have scored.
mhm.
Who passed him the ball?
Yeah, Rogers, but he's not got any returns yet at all, is he?
No, yeah,
Two games. He's
but
looked
that's
good.
got but that's got nothing to do with it, right? Like he's literally
Yeah,
the one that's putting the ball on a plate for them. In the same way you're saying Trent's ready for a haul and Yotta's missed it, Watkins had a better chance than Yotta's had. And,
yeah,
and Rogers gets it. Like Rogers is, and I was hearing, I think it was the above average guy. I'm not sure who it was. I've listened to quite a lot of different things, but this is one of those
yeah,
rare ones where you've got a player coming in now, right? Who everyone, not just community, but everyone's looking at Morgan Rogers and going, "Yep, that's enough for me." And he's not had any points yet, but everyone's going, "Yep, cool, like what I see, like those fixtures." I'm not telling you to necessarily do it. I like Bailey as a pick as well, but when
no, I
Europe
get you.
starts, Bailey definitely starts Europe. 100% Bailey starts at those Champions League games.
Yeah,
Rogers may not.
yeah. I
Rogers
mean,
may be safe for the league.
it is risky. I think the only thing with that is, don't get me wrong, Rogers looks fantastic. However, I think people are tied to someone in that region of 5 million. He might obviously be good value if he returns, but I think the fact of probably they have Haaland and they're looking for someone around that 5 million price bracket does kind of, you know what I mean? Sometimes causation isn't correlation. I think some people just think, oh yeah, he's looking good, 5 mil will get him in, and I just there's something in me that I just think I'm not so sure. Bailey, there is a chance. Obviously, Champions League he will start, and it depends how much he plays it, the week after or at the weekend from playing midweek.
That's it. And look, I don't mind the triple villa, but just for a hit this week, I don't love it. I
I
probably
know.
prefer Nedeljkovic over Konsa personally. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, and
he's
then
more of a
yeah,
risk, and you got risk. But then that way you could do Porro to him if you're going to bench Porro anyway, and still keep Gabriel, because one of those crappy Spurs fixtures is playing against Arsenal, right? Where you'd expect Arsenal to have a better clean sheet than Spurs, and against City, you're not loving it. But again, the value you can get in Gabriel, if he keeps a clean sheet this week, he's going up in price twice in the international break. So I
yeah.
say
I think
maybe
yeah, you're
caution
right.
on that
Yeah,
one.
I think what I will do. Sorry, moving forward though, I think I said to you the other day. I think what I might do is not that I overly need to, but it's been a consideration to wildcard during the international break for the value that you could pick up at this early
Yeah,
stage
yeah.
is quite big. And then you could still set your team up. All right, some people are doing six, but you might as well do after the international break. There'll be injuries, everyone will go up and down. And then you're a bit more set because value at this stage is really important. And I'll have to pull the trigger tonight if Nkunku's gone down again, which is a shame. I would like to keep him.
And Onion said like could take Porro out if you're not playing him via Newcastle, then
Yeah,
Arsenal.
and then they've got City, so it is a consideration. Yeah, no, you're quite right on this. That's enough my team. Anyway, let's talk about your team.
All right, so mine. Cool. All right, so look, my bus team. You'll notice my bus team is on the fantastic FPL team app on here. And look, if we look at my team, there's issues in my back, right? Like not for the goalkeeper. I've nailed that. I got a 4.0 goalkeeper that's now been sold overseas. Perfect. That's exactly what you
Mm.
want. No concerns whatsoever. How did I know that would happen with Southampton? I didn't, mate. No idea whatsoever. I just went, no one's picking this guy. And he was in every single one of my drafts. I'm delighted that he's now gone. Barco, again, look, I'm fine with it, right? Because I'm probably not going to need that fifth defensive spot. So now
Yeah,
knowing that I've got 8 million locked and never going to lose value, great. Gordon, I've got on the bench here. Quanza's still an issue. Look, I look at this team and I go, this seems fine. It seems fine. But there's a reason why this is on FPL teammate. And that reason is I've had a plan in my mind the entire time. And I've not wavered from it at all. And I don't think I was going to waver from it. So, was it last night? I think it was last night. I ended up making my transfers. It might have been last night. It might have been the night before.
Done it, yeah.
I've done it, mate. And I had 2 transfers. And I used 2 transfers. What I've done is... so I had this guy, and I know you've not been that fond of him, but I was fine with him, particularly last week. And I've done the unthinkable. I've gone, thank you for your hat-trick, Mr. Haaland. That will be all now, thanks.
Oh my goodness!
And along with him, has got the guy who cut my hair, Starboy Bukayo Saka. They've both gone together.
Which, by the way, is a big flex.
25. Yeah, I know. Just throw it in there. 25 million gone, like that. I can't even click my fingers, mate. That's how sweaty they are now, right? Because I did it, and then it dawned on me, Haaland's got a hat trick, and I just told him. So the reason for it is the 2 that have come in is ice cold Cole Palmer. He is in there. The armband is on him. He is the captain. And alongside him, look, I saw the comment earlier here from Onions going, I think there's something wrong with Watkins. Minutes worry me. Yeah, look, minutes are a worry. Fixtures, love him. And this is the Ollie Watkins show. So this is where he comes flying back. So they're both in. And I'm sitting this week with 5.5 mil in my back pocket, mate. And I'm going to spend it over, the international break. I might, take the family away somewhere.
Buy yourself something nice.
Butlins or something, we might even go for a Nando's or something with this kind of money, mate. But the reason for that is something that you'd identify. But like game week 4, I definitely want another Liverpool player. And this 5.5 mil in the bank enables a lot of upgrades. Maybe a Gordon, but they're playing Wolves. Maybe just a Yotta to him could happen. But also, there's something else that's on my mind as a potential option for game week 4.
I know what it is.
What is it, mate? What is it?
Oh, a certain Salah, is it? Is that?
Well, no. Salah could come in for Yotta, but I'm going to be watching this United game. I think I want Trent more than I want Salah. So Kwanzaa to Trent, the money's all there for it with another 3 mil in my back pocket. So basically what I'm doing here, mate, is I'm using my transfers to kind of do the switch over to have Palmer definitely and Watkins. The whole strategy I've kind of got, and it's not a set strategy, is I'll probably wildcard around game week 7 because that's when I like the fixture swings coming back, and that's when I can get Haaland, Saka, etc. all back in. So I've seen some people wildcarding and going without Haaland, and I agree with that. I'm kind of doing the reverse where I can get everyone back in through my wildcard when I want to as a fixture swing. So yeah, I've gone big, mate. It's Cole Palmer, captain, and yeah, I'm happy with it. Look, we've kind of gone through a lot of our stuff. I guess one thing, I know Onions sent a message on Twitter pretty early on to us starting it, so I can't load it up on here necessarily, but I'll read it out. I know whilst on the stream, you've already made the transfers, mate. So good work, but put out there, and it was for a -4. Pedro Porro and Diogo Jota out for Nedeljkovic from Villa and Cole Palmer from Chelsea. Now, I know you don't love taking Jota out, mate, but it's for Cole Palmer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd have done it for a -4, but it's your only way of getting Cole Palmer in. And like, I imagine, am I right, Onions? Are you captaining him this week? I'll pause for a second while you're doing that.
He must be. But
I'm having another look through, and one thing that I've realised is what we need to get good at doing, mate, and this will be on both of us, and I've seen Nima do it before. But when we see stuff coming through on chat, if there are questions, we can hit a star button on the top right of them, and it then saves them for us to come back to.
Good shout. Because that's what I like doing. Interaction. That's why we're here. You know what I mean? Like sharing the community, and we like hearing more of your thoughts as well to see if it's
so interestingly, right? So Onions has done it for a hit, and the reason why I was like praising me for taking Haaland out is because Haaland is washed away. Then he looked at my team and was like, "I like your team, Kieran, but no Haaland and no Salah would scare me." Which fair enough, but Salah might be coming in next week anyway, so that's or 2 weeks, game week 4, let's say.
Well, listen, it's the way to do it.
It is, but look, we asked the question, right? So Haaland's washed away. Actually, he's a little bit scared of them. But look, you've got Cole Palmer now. Who are you going to captain? Haaland v West Ham.
I
So
mean,
look,
yes,
I'm not going to tell anyone not to do it. It's Haaland against West Ham. I just love Cole Palmer this week, and join
he's
me,
back in.
onions. Join me.
Yeah, I think on that, do you know what? It was something that I put on my Twitter the other day of if you got Haaland, you got Isaac, how are you going to get Watkins in? You know, you got an Arsenal defender, you might have Trent. How are you going to get Watkins in? The only way to fund it is to take Haaland out. And for those fixtures, I think Watkins will get more over Haaland within those fixtures. And that's what we'll see this season, a lot of on the bus, off
Well,
the
so
bus.
I had another route towards it, right? And it was involving like Gvardiol down to Indelkovic, for example.
Mm.
Gets Cole Palmer in this week for and it's not that much of a downgrade to be honest with you, but that was yeah, could have been pretty much anyone. And then there was a way, in fact, yeah, with that money, I could do Saka to Cole Palmer and then
Hmm.
have money left over to basically get Watkins in over Muniz. So there were those options there, but it would have been for a hit, and it only would have made sense if I did it for a hit. And I think anyone who takes a hit in game,
Yeah, that's why I might wildcard. But like Claire's put in the chat, start with both Salah and Haaland because it's easier to downgrade. Yeah, it's on a price point, and
and Claire's got
yeah,
off to a good start. Onions has said he don't think he'll get Watkins until a few goals. Something off must be a reason he missed preseason and being subbed off at 60. Yeah, he missed preseason because he was at the Euros, right? And he's getting
yeah.
subbed off because he's not had as much preseason as everyone else. And they do have decent enough backups now, so you can take a bit more of it off him. Look, the one thing I'll just keep going back to, like judge players based off their fixture runs, and you can't move away from. And we'll read it out because we've referenced it so many times. But the Villa fixture run, and you're talking
Hmm.
Ollie Watkins, the main man in a team here, is about to go and play Leicester away, Everton at home, Wolves at home, Ipswich away, United at home, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home. So until game week 10, you've just got someone there where, let's be honest, in game week 3 to game week 10, you're looking at 5 to 6 goals for Ollie Watkins, if not more. Um, One other thing I'll mention, because I think you asked it earlier, Onions, but you asked sort of what's the ranks. Shane's not looking at his rank this year, but we're in a league together
Mm.
with each other, and because it's so early on head to head, it's not that much of a bearing on it. But I can't really say mine because he'll then know roughly where his is, and I want him to continue. But if you're desperate to know, mate, drop me a DM, and I'll happily tell you where I am and he is
Or
right now.
what we'll do is we'll get some way of putting it in the show. I'll look away maybe at the start or whatever, and you pop up the rank.
Yeah, but even at what you know anyway is you've had in your first 2 game weeks above average scores in both of those weeks.
Am I
And we
ahead of the Haaland team that you had? I just checked that one.
yes, mate, you are like 1.5 points above me.
One and a half. I'll take the 1.5. What was the onions like? I know you want to wait for him to score a few onions, but in my opinion, look at his record against Leicester, by the way, which is particularly very, very good, and then put that run on. If he does anything at the weekend, he'll go up in price, and I expect him to do quite a significant
But
damage
yeah,
this
there's
weekend.
also no reason you can be patient with someone like him, but like I'd say maybe you don't have to wait for one goal, maybe just wait for one nice fixture against Leicester and then go, oh, Everton and Wolves next, yes please, would be what I'd recommend.
Trust me, onions. Trust me.
Uh,
Um,
Look, I think, mate, we have done 2 hour 20 minutes here. That is way too
that was
long.
even more than last time as well. We're like, right, we need to reduce this down, which we will,
I
guys
did
and girls.
half the slides, but like
Yeah.
I said to Shane beforehand, 3 minutes per team. He spent 5 minutes talking before each on each team there, so maybe I can't give him full spotlight on it. Maybe I need to be there and just interrupt and go, no, no. But no, it's been an enjoyable episode. We've had the most amount of people we've had so far. It's only our sort of third live one, but we've had quite a lot of people both on X and on YouTube here. I don't know
Yeah.
how many likes we've had during this, Shane, but if anyone's still on here, please do like it. If you're watching it back, please like it. If you are listening on a podcast, thank you for listening. And if you ever want a copy of these images, give me a shout. I'll also direct you over to Mark's Twitter so you can see all of them yourself. And there's so many more than anything else. But look, really, really good show. I'm definitely going to be above Shane after this game week, so that's a nice
Oh,
positive on it.
that's getting clipped. That's getting clipped right there.
That's
Uh,
hold me
yeah,
to it.
like Kieran was saying, thanks for everyone who joined. If you're watching back or listening back, please drop a like, a rate, all that kind of good stuff. It'll be on Spotify tomorrow, and then it's always followed up by a thread. There's one at the end of the week after this, and then there's one at the start, Monday, Tuesday, from the games in the fallout. But yeah, that's all I can say is thanks very much for joining. We'll see you next week. Good luck at the game week. Enjoy the football. Have a good weekend, and we will see you next week.
See ya.